Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in. It is a Tuesday. I appreciate Charlie putting the day of the week for me, because otherwise I would never know what day of the week it is. So thank you to Charlie Usen, the producer, for putting that on there. Tuesday, and we are broadcasting live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. Charlie Usen, other side of the glass. We're sitting here waiting, and I've not been on Twitter for the last 20 minutes. So if something broke in the last 20 minutes and I missed it, I apologize. I was talking to Josh Albrecht about his trip to Disney World while trying to eat some lunch here before I came on the air. So that was fun, listening to Josh Albrecht's Disney World stories, because I'm a big Disney World guy. That you may or may not know that, but I am. Love Disney World. So anywho, coming up on today's show, we're monitoring a bunch of stuff. Eric Nehm, Bucks beat writer for The Athletic, will join us coming up here in the second segment, as we wait on news of Giannis and how bad that groin strain is and how long he will be out for. My buddy texted me. He's like, Giannis is hurt? Yeah. So he calls me. I'm like, what? He's like, I finally got myself into a suite, I think, for Thursday night's game, and now he's not even going to play. I was like, yeah, I highly doubt he's going to play, dude. I'm sorry, but yeah, no, I don't think he's going to play. So we'll find out more from Eric Nehm coming up at 2:20. I'm looking forward to our guest at 3:20. Very, very forward. I love having him on. Dave Wannstedt. He, of course, does former NFL head coach, former college football head coach, obviously with the Bears. He was with helping Jimmy Johnson in Dallas, obviously, when they were winning those Super Bowls and so forth. He's now an analyst in studio on the Big Ten football show they do on Big Ten Network. They interviewed Luke Fickell last week, so we'll talk to him about the Badgers and the Big Ten and all of that stuff. But also want to pick his brain on the Packers and Jeff Hafley, because on this broadcast that happened during this last game, I think it was Drew Brees that said Jeff Hafley was on Dave Wannstedt's staff at Pittsburgh back in the day when Wani was the coach coaching the University of Pittsburgh. So I looked it up. I was like, well, damn, Drew Brees is right. That is the case. So that's the main reason I'm getting him on. Let's try to pick his brain a little bit on Hafley and his thoughts on him. So we'll talk to him at 3:20. Then coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, I have feelers out for a Brewers guest possibly, because not only are we waiting on Giannis, we're waiting on the decision made by Brandon Woodruff on the qualifying offer. All these guys that got qualifying offers all have to make up their mind today. Today's the deadline. They all got to come forward and say if they're going to take it or not. Woodruff, we're talking about $22.5 million for 1 year for the Brewers pitcher. And whether or not he takes it, could lead the Brewers in a couple of different directions, whether he does or not. So I want to get into that, talking about Brandon Woodruff and all of that coming up at 4:20. Hopefully we'll have that decision too. So the Giannis injury news we're waiting on, and we're waiting on Brandon Woodruff contract decision. All of that coming up, plus some Packers conversation wrapped in as well. If you're listening around the state, appreciate it. Thanks for listening. WNFL in Green Bay, the game in Wausau and Duluth Superior, and, of course, the Fan in Milwaukee. I want to start off talking about Sunday Night Football a little bit. And we got into that last night as well, talking about the Lions and the Eagles and everybody watching that game and getting excited about that game. And Tirico on the open was like, oh, man, this is like game of the year type stuff. It didn't turn out to really be game of the year type stuff. But either way, it was entertaining to watch. And what I quickly realized was these guys ain't all that great. I mean, the Lions specifically are definitely not all that great. And the Eagles defense looks legit. Not questioning that. Offensively, though, they don't appear to be the same team they've been in the past. At least not right now. Now, there's weeks left. They could end up being a dominant offense. But they're clearly not that as of right now. So many Packer fans wanting to get rid of Matt LaFleur and questioning Jordan Love's contract and all of this. going into last week's game against the Giants, because if the playoffs would have started, the Packers wouldn't have been in the playoffs and so forth. And now if the playoffs start today, the Lions aren't in the playoffs, right? The Eagles look beatable, even though you got to play a tough defense. You have the Seahawks and the Rams. Sam Darnold became old Sam Darnold, throwing pick after pick after pick in their last game against the LA Rams. The Rams obviously are a very good football team, coached by a very good coach in Sean McVay. But I still am not convinced that they're a dominant team that has to be feared necessarily at this point. So after watching everything that happened this weekend, including Sunday Night Football, do you think we as Packer fans are being overly critical of Green Bay at this point? Not really taking a bigger picture view of it, going, man, all these teams in the NFC got problems. They all got some type of issues or problems that they're dealing with right now. Nobody looks unbeatable. Like, oh man, like somebody's going to have to shock the world to beat these boys in the NFC playoffs in order to get to the Super Bowl. Do you think we as Packer fans are being overly critical of this Green Bay team right now? Nicolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. You can also use the social, streaming live on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. They're on Facebook, all that fun stuff too. Charlie, what say you? You think us Packer fans are being overly critical of our team?
No, I don't think they are. And I think that what you put out there first when you said that the Philadelphia Eagles defense is legit, that is for sure.
They are legit.
This Packers offense still has problems. Yes. And there are still things that you saw that got blown way out of proportion in this Giants game that were issues that need to be fixed. And you can't, I guess, look back at what another team does against that same opponent and just automatically flip what you saw. It was 1 week difference. You can't have that opinion as a team. I think fans, to some degree, can't have that opinion either. I think if you want to be realistic about this team, if you want to actually enjoy this team, you can't put yourself on that roller coaster. If they're down right now, then they're down right now. And you have to realize that, and you have to start trying to find questions to why they are like that and see if the team can figure that out.
I think part of it is, and I'm guilty of this too. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm not guilty. Back in the day when we did the big show with Gary Ellerson and Leroy Butler, the two former Packers, Gary would always get mad at me. Sparky, quit trying to build a perfect damn team. There ain't no perfect damn team. Quit trying to build a perfect team. Always wanted more. And that is exactly how I was. And to a degree, I guess I am still that way to a point. But over the course of time, you realize that really it's all about the team that's playing the best at playoff time that really is going to have the best chance of winning a Super Bowl. Rarely do I think you come up with a situation to where a team loses 2 or 3 in a row going into the playoffs and then all of a sudden turn a magic switch and boom, off they go to win a Super Bowl. That doesn't seem like that happens a whole bunch to me, Charlie.
Well, and you don't see that with the Green Bay Packers that much either. What we saw last season was a great example of that, of them kind of going into the playoffs a little down, and you saw them just not be able to pick it up when it came to playoff time. You can't have that moving forward here. And yes, I think it is important to be hot at the end of the regular season in order to put yourself in a good spot there. At the same time, where the Packers are right now, they want to be in a better spot than they are right now. You do have to focus on this week in front of you and these weeks that happen and the issues that are here. So yes, you are having a down period and you are looking forward to the playoffs because that's where this team should be. This is where this team has gotten the past few years with Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur running this team. That's where they need to be this year too. At the same time, that's not where they are right now. So we need to focus on where they are right now.
This is the other thing. Again, asking you, do you think Packer fans are being overly critical of our favorite team? Nicolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. Yesterday, we talked about, they just shooting themselves in the foot and so forth. The answer to that is yes. But guess what, y'all? That's all fixable. That's all fixable. There's nothing that I look at right now and go, they can't overcome that. Now, you may say they can't overcome Tucker Kraft's injury. Like, that is going to be the death of this offense for the rest of the year. They don't have enough talent to overcome the injury of Tucker Kraft. You and I will disagree. It's okay. We'll disagree. I have faith that all these dudes that were dropping passes left and right will be okay, and this will work itself out. I have faith that Jordan Love He may not play as well as he did this last week because he played pretty good, man. He missed some great throws, even though they didn't catch all of them. That Jordan Love is going to do his job and get these guys the ball when they need to get the ball. And they're going to catch the ball. And as poor as the offensive line has been, Jordan Love still is giving this team chances to win games. These guys just simply need to hold on to the football to a certain degree. Matt LaFleur has to get himself into a rhythm of calling plays like we've seen before with Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, where they're just vibing. Is that what you say? They're vibing
that was good.
Together. I'm getting better at this. They're doing their thing together. And once that happens with a play caller and a quarterback, see Jared Goff, Ben Johnson, it's tough, man. It's tough to slow it down when you got guys that are feeling good and are thinking on the same wavelength as we're going here. And everybody in the offense is like, okay, we're going. They can't stop us. Boy, that was a hell of a drive. And now you come off the scripted plays in that second drive and you go do it again. Now you really got something. Because I feel like most of the teams in the NFL nowadays can score on it on their opening scripted drive, whether it's 3 or 7. That's normally when you see it. That was the Bears thing for a long time was, they always look great in the first drive. And after that, they disappear and they don't look like the same team anymore. And that was an issue. That's what you want to see them take that next step.
Definitely. But I think also what we saw against the New York Giants is that Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love did seem like they were in that groove. They seemed like they were on fire together. It was just too bad the offensive line wasn't blocking correctly or bad snaps or the wide receivers were dropping balls. Like you're in this spot where you can have that type of connection. You've seen that earlier in this season as well. And I know there's been games where they don't have that connection. There's a little bit of a gap between the two guys, but right now you can see that they have an all right game plan between Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur to kind of figure this out. Everybody else has to do their jobs, and I don't feel like the rest of the team is feeding off of that connection, that vibe like we're talking about as much as they should be.
Yeah, no question. I got some text messages coming in. Nicolay talk and text line, the 262. The Saints were 13-0, lost the last 3 of the season, and won the Super Bowl. But you're right, it doesn't happen that often. And they beat the Colts. So, yeah, I remember that one. 715, kind of only reason they're overreacting is because the expectations were higher at the beginning of the season than they are now. That's Luke in Wausau listening on the game, 710 the game, not 710, 93.9 the game in Wausau. Appreciate you listening there. I think that probably has a large part to do with it. I think you're right, Luke, which is people came into this season after they got Micah Parsons and said, hey, it's Super Bowl or bust. I'm there. I was one of them. But I don't think that's out of your reach right now. That's the point. Like, I don't think saying, they could be a Super Bowl team. I don't think that's out of reach. I heard Mason Crosby on the show before, as Mason Crosby show with Mitch Thunder now was brought to you by Verizon. I heard him, and he said, well, this offense isn't dominant. Man, this offense doesn't have to be dominant to go win a damn Super Bowl. If your defense is, say, top 3, top 5, your offense can be middle of the road and still go win a Super Bowl. You don't need a dominant offense. I understand when you have Hall of Fame quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, you've got to have that, but you don't have to have that in order to finish, Charlie.
No, but you need a competent offense. You need an offense that
is middle of the road. Like I said, top 10, top 12,
you
somewhere
need
in that area.
Offense. Not even that. The Eagles just won 2 straight games by scoring enough points. That's all you need to do. Is you need to, in the right moments, get the lead and win that game. Your defense can go out there and be top 10. As long as they give up 10 points and you score 13, you're okay. That's all you need.
Let's sneak in. Trell, north side of Milwaukee. You're next on the Nicolay Talk and text line. What's up, Trell?
Hey, what's going on, Sparky?
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So I guess we're saying, did we overreact? What is the basis before
you watch the Eagles and Lions game. Lions don't appear to be all that great after you saw what the Packers did against the Eagles. The Seahawks, they were all that. Sam Darnold threw 3-4 interceptions in that game against the Rams this weekend. The Eagles defense, really good. Not questioning the defense. Offense, they're not doing their thing like they have in years past, especially not Saquon Barkley to this point. So from my perspective and Charlie's perspective, it just kind of feels like Packer fans are asking for a ton. But realistically, if you look around the NFC, nobody really has everything in place right now.
Well, that's true, Sparky, but I don't think there hasn't been overreaction. I mean, the talent is oozing out of this team. So it's not a stretch to say that we should look at this team as being a Super Bowl contender. They haven't played like one, and that's been the rub.
Correct.
That we're complaining about them not, playing to their expectation. And I think that's warranted. But what I would say, I think this team. I don't care what national people or even some local people might think that they haven't played like it or whatever. Cream rises to the top. So the only thing that I want to happen, and I think everything else will follow, is I just want Matt LaFleur to fully trust Jordan Love. Just let him. Just when I say fully trust, I don't mean you trust him the second half of a game, and he shows what he's capable of. Then the first half of the next game, you go back to being
Agreed.
okay. You know,
you're right.
I don't want to see that. You know,
I'm with you.
Huh?
I'm with you. I don't disagree with you, Trell. Thanks for the call. You got to trust him. Absolutely. Coming up next, Eric Nehm, Bucks beat writer for The Athletic. Let's see what he knows on Giannis and the state of the Bucks at this point. Follow him on X at Eric_Nehm. He joins us next. You can watch him as well as we stream live on YouTube and on X at WI Sports Radio. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
Antetokounmpo. Allen has the assignment. Giannis driving, can't get it to go, and scooped up and in off the offensive rebound by Kuzma.
So the last thing you want to see is him even grimacing at all.
He is not moving well.
It's a growing too. It looks like you can't tell, but look, he's going right to the bench.
Jeez, I hate to see this. He's playing so well.
He's going straight to the back.
So that's up there for Giannis last night. Of course, watched that game on Peacock last night. Never sad to see my guy, Eric freaking Nehm. There he is on X and YouTube, streaming live at WI Sports Radio, joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. I guess my first thing, Eric Nehm, is when he was hurt originally, and then Doc decided to put him back in, were you as puzzled by such thing as others were watching, or no?
Not really. Like, we've seen Giannis check himself into games. I don't know. Like, we've seen him play through stuff. If you watch Giannis, there are no less than 5 times a game where he takes a hard fall, gets his shoulder ripped out of socket, has his legs tangled up, and you think, well, no one could recover from that. And he just pops up and he keeps playing. So no, I wasn't particularly shocked that Giannis kept playing. Like, if he says he's okay, I don't think you have a whole lot more to do as a coach. Like, it's kind of what Giannis does, right? Like, he plays through stuff. So obviously it's unfortunate the way that it ended up. But no, I wasn't particularly shocked that, Doc said, I asked him and he said he's okay. And I asked him again, he said he's okay. And this is what ended up happening. It's unfortunate, obviously, but no, I wasn't particularly surprised.
So, and this is where I have issue with Matt LaFleur. And apparently I have issue with Doc Rivers, because this is what Matt LaFleur says. Well, I mean, if the player wants to play and doctors say he's okay, I'm going to let him go back out there and play. Well, of course. Well, 99% of the guys want to play, man. They're going to try and play through anything. You got to save them from them sometimes and make sure it doesn't get to that point. And I understand Giannis is the franchise and nobody's going to step to Giannis and tell him, no, sit down. You're not playing. I understand the situation you have yourself in, trying to get this dude not to play, because nobody wants to play more than Giannis does. But that's the frustrating part of me. I see it in Green Bay, and now we see it here again with Giannis. That's like Josh Jacobs. You could see on his face grimacing as he's carrying the ball. Every time he carries the ball, he's not coming out. He's staying out there. And then after that, it's like, okay, now I'm in too much pain, so now I can't go. And now you're probably going to miss the Vikings game, and we'll see how long that goes. As a fan, I'm just saying it's frustrating.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I don't think I can really disagree with it. Yeah, it is frustrating, but also the best player on the planet wants to play. And I think exactly what happens if this player on the planet comes out in the first quarter because of a quote unquote groin strain, then all the talking heads on ESPN will be like, well, does he really want it? Does he have that dog in him? Oh, you can't be, if you're supposed to be the franchise, you can't pull yourself. Like, we know how all this goes. So yeah, guys are going to play through stuff because that's what they want to do. And that's what they're going to try.
So we're still waiting, right? I'm assuming you haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything yet on Giannis as far as how long this may be for?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Bucks, their updates are always as clear as mud. Anytime there's any sort of injury update, like that's just not something that they've done historically, like to give like very clear timelines. And maybe it'll be different in this scenario, but I also think with Giannis's ability to recover from things, I think it's really hard to put together a timeline, right? Like, I think there's been a lot of times over, the last 10 years covering him where you're like, oh, well, he's for sure going to be out for this game and this game and this game. And then all of a sudden he's upgraded to questionable. Oh, but he's going to play. And that's just like kind of what he does. So I think that's where it kind of gets into a tough situation. I would say the vibe from the locker room last night, the vibe from Doc Rivers was it's a situation where they're expecting him to miss a couple games. Like, I don't think it's, like months and months and months, but I do think like in that locker room, it felt like, yeah, probably a couple weeks and we'll see, right? Like with Giannis, you never truly know. Because in the same way that in game, he can say, I'll play through it. Right. Sometimes 2 days later, he's just good and you don't really know. So, as far as deadlines go and stuff like that, the Bucks have an off day today. They get back on the practice floor tomorrow. the first injury report that they would have to submit for a game would be tomorrow for Thursday's game. So knowing the Bucks, they will probably take their time on that. That's kind of how it's gone. You think of Torian Prince earlier this year. There's Doc telling us he got imaging one night, and then the next night when we ask about, hey, how did the go? He says, oh, well, she hasn't had those tests. So, we're still waiting on him. And then 3 days later, he's out for an indefinite period of time. So that's just kind of what the Bucks do. So I'm not expecting a very clear outline in timeline being laid out for Giannis, but maybe they will surprise us in this situation.
Talking with Eric Nehm, Buck speedwriter for The Athletic. Follow him on Twitter at Eric_Nehm. I had this conversation last week on this show, which is, should we really be getting upset when the Bucks lose without Giannis? And my thought on it is absolutely not, because look, man, if he's not playing in the playoffs, they're losing. So this doesn't matter. Like, the only way to really judge what the hell is going on here is when Giannis is out there. Having said that, this is if, because we don't know for certain yet, but let's say Giannis is out 2 or 3 weeks, right? So that puts, in my opinion, Doc Rivers into an interesting situation here as far as, okay, what do I want to find out for the next 2 or 3 weeks while Giannis is on the floor? Do I want to test certain guys to see if they can carry more of the offensive load than I'm letting them when Giannis is on the floor? Do you work on different things from an offensive standpoint without Giannis on the floor? I mean, defensively, they're stuck. There's not much they can do defensively without Giannis. But I think offensively, I think that's my biggest question. Rollins has played well when Giannis has missed to this point. So maybe you go back to that well again. What are your thoughts as far as how they approach this without Giannis?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are pretty stark, right? Like, if you look at, on cleaning the glass, at 10.6 points per 100 opponents is off the floor. They're getting out 12.8 possessions. That's like a 20-point difference per 100. It's not good. That's good. Like a very good team to a very, very bad team. So I agree with you that I don't think it necessarily matters. Can this team win without Giannis? Well, it wasn't built to win without Giannis. Like, it was built to win with Giannis. So I think that part isn't huge to me. To me, I wonder, last night I had mentioned it to Doc Rivers in the postgame. AJ Green has 4 assists last night. And if there's one thing I've been thinking about with this offense is they are doing a good job getting up threes. Like, let's be clear there. They're doing a great job knocking down threes. Close your ears, take your headphones off, Sparky. I'm about to say something that you're not going to like.
Why not just save it for a different show then? Why are you going to do it on my show if you're going to make me mad? Go ahead. What?
You play the variance game. You shoot even more threes. You lean into that. You try to get your 3-point shooters. Like, the only chance you have to have a good offense is a hot 3-point shooting night, because you don't have the creators without Giannis to just get in there, get into the paint and try to make those plays happen. Like, Kyle Kuzma cannot be Giannis. That cannot be your blueprint. So you have to find a different blueprint. You have to figure out ways to leverage the things that you actually are good at. And the thing that they are undeniably good at is shooting threes. So to me, that's the way I lean. And how I lean into that is, it doesn't necessarily have to be, AJ Green shooting threes, but run more sets for him, run him off of more screens, make the defense pay attention to him. If there's one way I know that the Bucks can draw a second defender, it is throwing the ball to AJ Green behind the 3-point line. We've seen that the entire season. Teams pay attention to that guy. So how do you leverage these things? Because I think a Ryan Rollins-led offense is interesting. I think it could be good for his development going forward. I think it could be good for figuring out what this guy can do in the league. But I don't think that's how you're going to win games in this stretch that Giannis is going to miss. So I think if you're talking about winning games, I think it's that way. If you're talking about just development, okay, let's lean into Ryan Rollins. Let's make him the lead guy here, and let's build an offense around him for a little while. And I think one of the things that they're lucky that it occurred when it occurred is that there's not a whole lot of practice days on an NBA schedule. And they have one this week. They have one tomorrow. And that gives you a chance to at least say, okay, guys, this is the blueprint. This is how we're going to do things. And this is our path for however long he's out. And maybe it's 3 games, maybe it's 6 games. Who knows? Like, whatever it is, that, like, tomorrow is a pretty important day for the team to get together and figure out how you can, just squeak out a couple wins. You don't have to be a winning team without Giannis, but if you can grab 1 or 2 wins, all of a sudden the deficit that you're in whenever he comes back is far less.
What about Eric Nehm, the idea of trying to figure out how to get more offensively from Miles Turner? Is that something that they would consider getting him more shot attempts in a game? And I'm not meaning 15 threes. I mean, figuring out different ways for him to score the basketball, maybe closer to the rim.
So I think one of the things that worries me about this team is throwing entry passes to the best player on the planet. They struggle with, they struggle making post entries to Giannis, right? Like we've seen that throughout this season, that if he gets a mismatch, even go Bobby Portis. If Bobby Portis gets a mismatch, just getting the ball to them in the post is a problem. And I don't think Miles Turner's best strength has ever been, let's get a switch, post him up and create the offense out there. Like he's a good passer.
He's not Brook Lopez in that aspect.
Correct. So I do think you can lean into Miles Turner more, but I do think the way that you're going to end up leaning into him is as a playmaker. Like, okay, let's have him have a pick and roll. He rolls to the middle, catches around the free throw line. Right. He does love the mid-range jumper. He hasn't been getting a lot of them in Milwaukee. He loves that mid-range jumper. Maybe get some of those, or he can create out of that. I think that's more the way. And, that was something I kind of asked Miles last night, was like, I know that I don't necessarily – if I'm grading your offense, I'm not grading it on whether or not you score points. Like that's not necessarily what you do, but the team's going to need more points. So do you feel like that's something that you can do? And he was like, the ball finds energy. That's always going to be the case. And that's always like the way that I want to play. But I do think if you're the Bucks and you're talking about the talented, skilled guys on this roster without Giannis, Miles Turner's at the top of the list. So how do you get the ball to have energy and find Miles Turner at the end of a possession? That would be a question I'd be asking as well.
You brought up Kuzma in passing earlier, like he's not going to be Giannis. Okay, fine. I agree with you. He ain't going to be Giannis, but he's played better than we all thought he was going to be, I think, at the beginning of the year. Now, I don't know, if he can consistently do this for an entire season. I have my doubts. But if you're talking about just talented dudes, he's one of the more talented dudes on this team. And if you're talking about trying to figure out if somebody can carry more of a load than what he has to this point, he dropped 26 in the one game. If we're trying to figure that out, Kuzma might be that guy that you try to figure out offensively. Can he do more consistently without Giannis on the floor? Because defensively, he's giving you everything he's got.
Yeah, I think that is another thing that you lean into, right? And I think what we've seen over the last, he has his Bucks high the other night against the Hornets, and then the last 2 games, it's been a little bit more hit or miss. Yep. And I think one of the things that you've seen is just teams are going to ignore him at the 3-point line. And how Kyle deals with that is going to be very important, right? Like you have to make the decision, okay, am I going to shoot when they give me these dare shots, because teams are going to keep giving them those dare shots, or do I get a better shot out of this? And you can go either way, right? Like, go back to Game 7 of the Bucks Celtics series. The Bucks gave Grant Williams dare shots, right? And they had him teetering on the edge. And then all of a sudden Grant Williams made 3 threes in a row, and that game was over. It was a wrap. And it's not exactly the same situation, but as a player, you have to make that decision. You have to say either I'm going to keep shooting them when you give me them, and then maybe I can make a bunch, or I'm never going to shoot them, and I'm going to get us a different shot. I'm going to work for something better. And whatever you decide, I don't think necessarily matters. You just have to be convicted in that belief. You have to go out there and know that's what I'm doing tonight. Tonight, if you're going to dare me to shoot these threes, they're all going up every possession you leave me open. And eventually, I'm a talented enough player. I'm a skilled enough player that they're going in and I'm going to make you pay. And it's a really tough game to play, but without Giannis, I don't see a ton of options. So that's something that...
But Eric, is that his decision, or is that Doc's decision as a coach as far as how he wants Kuzma to play that?
Yeah, Doc made it pretty clear the other night against the Lakers that he wants Kyle to be a screener, and he wants him to be a cutter in those situations. And he just thought that Kyle was too tired against the Lakers. And obviously he thought the whole team was too tired against the Lakers in that second night of the back-to-back, their 5th in 7 days or whatever it was. But they're pretty clear, like, be a screener, be a cutter, we don't necessarily need you standing in the corner. And I mean, without Giannis, there will be more on-ball creation needed, and Kyle's a guy that has done it in the past, and they'll see if they can do it again this year.
He is Eric Nehm. Follow him on X at Eric_Nehm. He'll be all over this Giannis news once it breaks. Bucks beat writer for The Athletic. Eric, as always, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Take care. There he is. Eric Nehm joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. Coming up, we got to get to our botched moment of the day. We'll do that shortly. And don't forget, in the world of tenders, Wendy's decided to make something more juicy, more crispy, and more dippable. New chicken tenders are here. Some may call them tendies, and yes, it's fun to say and even more fun to eat. And Wendy's new chicken tendies come with an insane new sauce lineup. New Wendy's signature, new sweet chili, or new scorching hot. Or choose one of the classics, honey barbecue, creamy ranch, or honey mustard. Whatever you choose, they're the perfect vessel to dip all your tendies in. Wendy's new chicken tenders are so juicy, crispy, and dippable, you'll remember them forever. Gotta have tendies. It's gotta be Wendy's. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
It's time for the botched moment of the day. Bad call, dropped pass, horrible coaching. Did someone say the wrong thing? Let's get to it on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, let's get to it. We're going to hear from Doc Rivers, I believe. We're going to hear from hear what Giannis happened to Giannis as well. Anytime you talk about the botch moment of the day, we brought this up with Eric Nehm. It's got to go back to what happened in that Bucks game last night.
Antetokounmpo. Allen has the assignment. Giannis driving. Can't get it to go. And scooped up and in off the offensive rebound by Kuzma.
The last thing you want to see is him even grimacing at all.
But he is not moving well.
It's a growing too. It looks like you can't tell, but look, he's going right to the bench.
Jeez, I hate to see this. Playing so well.
He's going straight to the back.
So it sucks. Again, that game was on Peacock last night. I'm not sure how many of you have Peacock. We luckily we do still for the time being. We canceled our Paramount Plus one a while back, a couple weeks ago, but we did not cancel the Peacock. I literally had to ask last night. I was like, so do we have Peacock still or not? Did you cancel that one? No, I canceled Paramount. All right, sounds good. We're good to Peacock so I can watch the game. But this is the thing. He earlier in that game was like on a bicycle and was trying to stretch it out and then goes back. And you heard Eric Nehm say from The Athletic in that last segment, like, dude, he checks himself in and does what he wants to do. Like, nobody's going to stop him from doing what he wants to do. You know, Doc apparently asked him multiple times, like, are you sure you're good? Are you sure? Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Clay went fine. Like, I watched that play where he went up and came down, looking to see if I could see anywhere where he might have fallen awkwardly or stretched. I don't see anything unusual by the way he came down in that thing at all. The question is, do you have more of an issue with the coach letting the player go back out, like a LaFleur, like a Doc Rivers, or on the player himself for choosing to go back out when they know darn right well they're not right at that point? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. We've seen it with Matt LaFleur all year. Now we see it with Doc Rivers and Giannis, Charlie.
It's pretty frustrating. And I think that from what I've experienced personally, a lot of the times, again, there's a lot of pressure from the coaching staff for you to go out there. There's a lot of times from your teammates where they want you or need you to be out there because you're a leader of this team. I think with the Jair Alexander, if we go over to the Packers and talk about his situation last year for a little bit, I think he really felt like he needed to prove himself. I think he felt like he was getting pushed out of this team and that him not being on the field was a problem. That's why he wanted to get back out there. Giannis doesn't have that same kind of pressure on him to go out there and play. This is really just kind of curious because it doesn't seem like the coaching staff really begged him to go back out there. I think Doc Rivers is a veteran coach, and that's why they brought him to coach this team, because they have a lot of young players that he needs to work with and figure out how to play with, because Giannis may not be on the court all the time. And this is one of those situations where Doc should have said, no, Giannis, you need to sit down. And Giannis at the same time should have said, yeah, I do need to sit down. They both were wrong in this situation.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible. And I'm never going to fault a player for wanting to play. Like, I'm not going to bash Giannis because Giannis wanted to go out there and force the issue with his groin, because I know these dudes aren't built that way mentally, most of them. They're not. They're going to make McManus with his injury, trying to go out there and kick, knowing damn right well that he probably shouldn't be out there, but is telling LaFleur, I'm good. Then we get doubtful after we found out the previous week that apparently he was as healthy as he was, according to that TV crew. That's crazy. Josh Jacobs being out there running around, seeing him grimacing in pain, still trying to play through it. And now he's probably going to miss a game. That's the type of stuff that frustrates me. When you're at home on your couch and you can see there's an issue and they still play. Like, you got to be kidding me, man. So the question is, do you have more of an issue with the coach letting the player go back out, or the player choosing to go back out? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio, streaming live on X and YouTube.
Grabbed it, I want to say, in the first quarter, and I asked him then, he said it was fine. Then I think he grabbed it again, and he said it was fine. And then the third time, is when it happened. But I think it happened earlier, in my opinion. I don't know that factually. No, he's not had. I don't know his history. I don't know if he's ever had a groin. So And we don't know if it's that. We'll do the imaging tomorrow, and we'll know tomorrow a lot more. Didn't look great, I can tell you that. So we'll know more tomorrow.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful on that. And we're still sitting here waiting to see what the deal is with Giannis and how to proceed with that. We got news on the Brewers.
What do we got?
We got news on the Brewers.
You seem happy.
Brandon Woodruff said, pay me, I'm staying.
Nice.
Pay me, I'm staying. Brandon Woodruff is staying with the Milwaukee Brewers, everybody.
All right.
Staying.
Now, this does bring up some questions with Freddie Peralta. There's other reports that were saying if they're going to bring back Brandon Woodruff, that may be done for Freddie.
No. Absolutely freaking not. That's not acceptable at all. If Brandon Woodruff is saying, which he is, $22.5 million, he's staying, that means to me, you got to push in now. Here it is. Push in, do what you got to do, man, and let's go. At 3 o'clock, we'll do a full topic on this whole Woodruff thing. Right now, let's have some fun before we get into the topic. $22.5 million. So what did we learn about this? I think we learned that his agent couldn't find him a long-term deal enough to justify saying no to the Brewers and going back for 1 year at $22.5 million. That's what I think. The other thing that I think might also be going on is maybe they're talking about a longer-term deal, but just needed to get him in the house to continue to negotiate a longer-term deal between now and spring training of, look, dude, we want to do 3 or 4 years at a number. We think we're close enough on what the number might be. We're not done. Take this now, and then let's finish this long-term deal. There might be some of that going on too, Charlie.
Well, and if that's the case, that says that Brandon Woodruff is close enough as well. And he feels like there's something to be worked on there, which is really good news. You don't hear that a lot with the Milwaukee Brewers. So
we'd have to look, but I don't believe the Brewers have ever spent $22.5 million on 1 year on any pitcher ever.
I mean, their biggest contract was the Lorenzo Cain one, right? And that one didn't touch $22 million free agent.
Because they had Sabathia, they had Greinke, Markham, but I don't think those guys were at that number because when Sabathia went to free agency, they offered him 5 at 100, which was the standard Mark A offer to a guy that he knows he can't get. 5 at 100, and Sabathia said, thanks, but the Yankees are going to like double that number or triple it, whatever it was. I'm out. I'll see you later. And then Greinke they had for essentially 1.5 years, 2 years, and Greinke left. They did the same thing, I believe. And Greinke went and got paid there too. But this is a big day for the Milwaukee Brewers. Harris Turner was on. He said, hey, man, this payroll's going up. Now, I want to say this. Because he takes this deal does not necessarily have one to do with the other. You want to know why? Because Rhys Hoskins was making a bunch of money last year, right? So you're essentially taking Rhys Hoskins' money or part of Rhys Hoskins' money and absorbing it here into Brandon Woodruff to a certain degree.
Matt Garza is the biggest free agent contract in Brewers pitcher history. It was a 4-year, $50 million deal, which does not hit 22.5. It's about 12.5.
Not close. That did not work out. But 1 year, $22.5 million. Woo, baby. I'll be honest. I really didn't think this was going down. I did it, man. I really thought that, okay, Matt Arnold, my guy, was just doing it to get the draft pick, right? Well, to get the draft pick, he's going to go sign for 4 for 80 or 3 for 65 somewhere, and they'll get the pick, knowing darn right well he ain't going to take it. That's what I thought was going on. I really, honestly, even last night, I was scouring last on the internet. I'm seeing projections of 3 at 66, 3 at 60, all this. Everybody's saying he wasn't accepting everywhere I looked. And then Rosenthal comes up with, oh, no, he took the deal, man. He took the deal. Thanks to Mitch Thunder Nellis, by the way, who texted me and just said, Woodruff. Didn't say anything else. Just Woodruff.
It was like 2 minutes before he texted you too, right away. He was on it.
I get on my phone and I type in Woodruff into X to see what the hell is going on because he didn't tell me. He just said Woodruff. So I appreciate you, Thunder, for tipping us off. So go ahead, Charlie. Your thoughts.
I think with this deal and talking about what Brandon Woodruff might have gotten on the open market, the one thing I guess I get a little bit confused on is I'm pretty sure Matt Arnold was doing this for the pick. Do you think he's like a little bit disappointed that Brandon Woodruff signed this contract?
Like I said, I don't know if this is a long-term play. I mean, if this is a 3-year deal at 60 or something eventually, then this makes a lot of sense. You get him in the house. We're close enough where we think we can full finish this before spring training. Let's get this done and be done. But this makes them. If I'm a Cubs fan, I'm looking at this going, oh, hell. Like, I thought maybe they trade Peralta and got a bunch of young dudes and we got a crack at this thing with Mizorowski leading the charge. Now, all of a sudden, Mizorowski, Priester, Gasser, Henderson, they're 3, 4, 5 in whatever order you want.
And the Cubs were one of the teams and fan bases that were talking about bringing in Brandon Woodruff, so I'm sure they're real happy now, too.
That's too bad. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We'll continue talking about Brandon Woodruff coming up next here on Wisconsin Sports Daily.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Woo! I am fired up, y'all. Fired up. We are live in Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and I'm a happy camper. Happy. From depressing Giannis talk to Woodruff news breaking in the middle of the last segment. And if you haven't heard, Brandon Woodruff accepted the qualifying offer, 1 year, $22.5 million. It is the most money we've seen from a starting pitcher making a single year in Milwaukee Brewers history. And I'm super excited. And Tommy Wirtz is hanging out because he's got Wisconsin Sports Wrap Up tonight from 5 until 6. It's all dressed up, looking spiffy. And you'll see. You see him right now, right? If you go look at it, if you're on X or YouTube, you can see wearing that nice black polo. Man, girls on the sales floor all talking to him today. You got more attention today than you've probably got in the last year.
I mean, I've worn a polo here before. I want that to be prefaced. But you wear a polo and khakis on a Tuesday when everyone's in the building, and people notice.
Imagine if you had some like clean, fresh, brand new white shoes on to go with it.
Right.
Woo!
I know. And everyone's just asking if I've got a haircut or whatever. There's just something different
You're
about
looking
me today.
good, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
That's good. Yeah.
I'm usually this attractive. I want people to know that. Thank you.
Well,
Brandon Woodruff.
No need to get into that. But yeah, Brandon Woodruff, 1 year, $22.5 million. You did the leadoff show all year long, so you're kind of our Brewers guy. So you tell me, man, did you think he was going to accept this?
Yeah, I did think that there was a strong chance. The qualifying offer is so interesting, right? Because you knew that the Brewers have been burned by it in the past already, too, where they extend this to Willie Adames, right? And he doesn't go through with it. But now Brandon Woodruff, I think that it really, the worlds met perfectly for the Brewers and for Brandon Woodruff. You saw enough last year coming off of the injury that you had no problem. If Brandon Woodruff was going to be on your team, absolutely bring him back because he looked great in his time. And I also think that other teams probably were scared to give Brandon Woodruff some money, and it wouldn't make much sense to go get a 2-year, $30 million deal when you can make $22 million, have another year where you can go out, showcase your talent that you know you have, and pitch your way to another contract from there. And the Brewers get another chance to run it back with a roster that won the most games in Brewers history. So I think it worked out perfectly for Milwaukee. Maybe even him getting hurt at the end of the season led to this decision here as well for him to claim
lat injury.
Right.
But it's not a shoulder. I mean, it's not an elbow. It's a lat. Like, I don't think anybody looks at the lat injury and goes, oh, he won't be ready for spring.
There had to be teams this offseason saying that they would not touch Brandon Woodruff with a 10-foot pole because of his injury history.
And his age.
Yeah.
He's not in his 20s. He's mid-30s.
Yeah, but for a pitcher, does that really matter? I mean, it feels like pitchers age a lot
for a
slower
for a guy that gets hurt and is in his mid-30s, I mean, you'll understand this when you get older. But as you get older, it gets harder to recover and get yourself back to where you were.
I guess I would have guessed he was like 32, 33.
Look, get his age real quick.
If he's over 35, yeah, it makes sense.
He was born in 1993.
So he's 30. He's 32 years old.
32.
So
yeah.
I mean, that's not that. That's like your prime for baseball.
Yeah, I
still
guess.
here.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean,
yeah.
this was absolutely an opportunity for Brandon Woodruff to test the market. You know he had to, and it probably wasn't that intriguing to him.
On the Nicolay Law Talk and text line, which you can react to the Brandon Woodruff signing as well, 414-677-1250. The 262 says, don't you believe Woodruff feels like he still owes the Brewers because 2 straight years he wasn't available for the playoffs?
No.
He wants to right the ship and pitch in the postseason if he stays healthy this season.
I don't think he owes the Brewers anything. I think we saw from Brandon Woodruff that and this organization showed that they love Brandon Woodruff enough to give him that contract where he didn't play, right? And you want to say he's repaying for that? Man, when he came back, there was a strong correlation between when the Brewers went on that run in early July, and it started when Brandon Woodruff came back against Miami. This Brewers team got a whole different infusion of youth or spark, whatever you want to call it, from Brandon Woodruff earlier this season that I don't think he owes the organization anything. And the organization extended a qualifying offer, $22 million. That was the best offer they were going to give. Why not get one more year, run it back with him? And that was probably the best offer he was going to get on the open market as far as AAV goes.
1-2 pitch. Struck him out.
Rehab starts in the minors.
Got him.
17. So he said he was fired up and he said, no.
Struck him out. And he got him, looks to Ramirez. Got him. Struck him out. Got him.
It's nice to know that more of those strikeout calls will be coming with Brandon Woodruff on the mound here in 2026. Highlights courtesy of FanDuel Sports Network. Charlie Usen on the one editing all those clips up for us to play on the air. I want to have an answer to this question. We have Dave Wannstedt coming up at 3:20. We are going to get to him, former NFL head coach with the Bears, obviously. Also former head coach of Pittsburgh football, University of Pittsburgh, where Jeff Hafley was a coach underneath him, and wanted to pick his brain on Jeff Hafley and so forth. Plus, we'll talk to him about the Badgers as he does Big Ten football for the Big Ten Network, and they had Luke Fickell on last week. So all of that coming up at 3:20. The question that we have on this is, does your opinion of Mark Attanasio change now that he is paying Brandon Woodruff $22.5 million for the 2026 season? Does your opinion of Mark change now? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. I don't know, man. Like, if you're a cheapskate, like everybody likes to call that dude, if you're a cheapskate, you ain't offering this dude $22.5 million. Even if Matt Arnold's like, hey, man, we can get a really good pick here. If he takes this, we can get a pick at the end of one. Like, this will be nice for us. We get a nice comp pick. We can trade that comp pick, right? This will work out for us. Now, are you 1,000% sure he ain't going to sign for $22.5 million, Matt? Are you sure? Because I really don't want to spend $22.5 million on a guy that's been hurt for the last 2 to 3 years. Like, Mark has, in my opinion, Mark has to sign off on this, Tommy, in order for them to make this qualifying offer. He has to be comfortable with the idea of, if he does say yes, are you comfortable throwing that number at a guy that, again, like you said, has been hurt?
Yeah, I think that you have to give Mark his flowers for this move here. Like you said, it's $22 million. I do think that, I don't know, I brought this up when I thought he was going to accept the offer as soon as I heard Harris Tour say that the payroll was going to go up. That's when I told you, well, I think that means Woody's accepting the qualifying offer. Maybe he knew something at that time and he didn't want to give away information. Understood. I think that this team, they're just excited that they get to run it back with the exact same team. And I don't know where they make moves out of this from there, but I think if there's one more move, I don't know what the number move is. If it's over 10 million, if it's over 15 million, if it's over $20 million for another move, another pickup, whether you want to get a shortstop, a third baseman, an outfielder, wherever you want to go with that, I think that's when opinions can start changing. Brandon Woodruff, Mark Attanasio knows how great he is, not just for the baseball team, but for the community and the organization as a whole, for Milwaukee and for the Brewers. So it would be a really bad look if they didn't extend the qualifying offer to a guy like Brandon Woodruff. This also gives him some protection on this year. It gives him a little more choose your own adventure. If the Brewers are not doing well and he wants to get moved on, then he has to accept a trade offer that would go from there. I think it only benefits Brandon Woodruff, and the Brewers are willing to take another shot on a guy who has been really sneaky, one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball since 2020.
It's been amazing.
I think he has one of the top 5 lowest ERAs since 2020 in Major League Baseball. Obviously, a couple of years, asterisks because he wasn't playing, but Brandon Woodruff has been a very solid pitcher, not just for the Brewers, but for Major League Baseball when he is healthy right now. I think it is an interesting conversation, too, that now you have to talk about what's going to happen on opening day. How ready is he going to be for that? Is Brandon Woodruff more ace potential than Freddie Peralta? I think he is right now. It's all good news for the Milwaukee Brewers.
It is really good news for the Milwaukee Brewers. And again, in my opinion, this puts you in a position to push in. Now, do I expect them to make a Micah Parsons type deal to push all in like the Packers? No. But reports out today from Jeff Passan, I believe it was, Pirates in on Kyle Schwarber, trying to go get Kyle Schwarber here. They're talking about investing a whole bunch of money in. Now, I said this before. it stinks to high heaven that all of a sudden these small markets going into the last year of a CBA all of a sudden now want to spend money.
Rockies are in on Kyle Schwarber too.
Right. Everybody wants to spend money now at the end going into the last year of a CBA. Smells to high heaven. My guess is they're all 1-year deals. Nobody's giving them 4 or 5, and somebody's going to pay them like $40 million for 1 year and swallow hard to get through the 1 year at $40 million, hoping that the commissioner can fix this then going forward, because they have to show the players that, oh no, we tried. Look at how much money we invested this last year. That to me feels like what this is.
Well, and we'll see if that's the case if the Milwaukee Brewers are involved in these conversations with any of these guys, right? That would raise red flags for everyone. I know the Pirates and the Rockies also being a part of it. The Rockies did try to give a deal to Chris Bryant. It just hadn't worked out, remember? The Pirates, they've paid a couple of guys within the organization. They've never really gone out there.
I mean, if you talk about Schwarber in Milwaukee.
Oh, it's not going to happen.
But that means
Christian Yelich can't play the outfield.
That's correct. I was just about to say that.
Disqualify Kyle Schwarber.
Or you think Schwarber can play first?
Schwarber was an outfielder in Chicago for
he was an outfielder in Chicago.
He was a catcher too.
Yes, he was. No, he was a catcher too.
He's not playing catcher. He's not playing the outfield. He's a DH forever, and that will disqualify the Brewers because Christian Yelich cannot play the outfield.
But they need a bat.
Absolutely.
However they get a bat, they need a bat, whoever that's going to be one way or the other.
Well, and I
think the way they're going to get it is by trading pitching prospects in order to get said bat at some point here.
And I think they need to strongly consider that, especially with a guy like Brandon Woodruff coming back. This really, could you imagine a 3-man rotation of Woodruff, Peralta, Miz next year in a postseason series? That goes way farther, I think, than what they had this year. And I love Quinn Priester. What he did last season I thought was great, and I hope Chris Hook has fixed him. But I think he would provide a lot more value as a back end of the guy as opposed to having to be a number 2, for instance, on this team next year.
Nicolay, talking text line 443. I don't know where that is. Text, no, because they're about to get rid of Peralta's contract tomorrow and not until they get a bat.
Baltimore, Baltimore, by the way.
What?
443. There you go. It's Baltimore.
Oh, so he thinks he's going to Baltimore? It worked out for you before getting a Brewers pitcher in Baltimore, if memory serves correct. Probably don't want that. But if Freddie Peralta gets traded, I'm going to absolutely annihilate this franchise.
Then it makes no sense for this
I'm going to annihilate them.
There's no way.
I promise you, I will be just as angry as I am happy right now. You pay that dude $22.5 million, and then you go, no, we're not all in. Joking. Here, go buy Freddie Peralta, and we're going to have all these young kids behind Woodruff. Oh, my God. I'll be livid.
Is there a better 1-2 bang for your buck value than the Brewers have on Freddie Peralta and Brandon Woodruff, spending $30 million next year on those two guys at the top of their rotation?
Not a better deal in baseball.
I don't think there is.
No.
Because the $8 million for Freddie, it makes no sense. Now, if you get to the deadline and things are not going as well, that's different.
Then
but
you could trade both of them.
Yes, I agree. I don't believe that a preseason move now for Freddie Peralta makes any sense, especially after this qualifying offer. So I expect this Brewers team to have high expectations now going into 2026 because Brandon Woodruff makes your team better, and you should get guys on your team and keep guys on your team that make your team better. Milwaukee, good job.
I'm with you. Sports Talk, Wisconsin Sports Radio Network is presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game every Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. Coming up next, former Bears head coach Dave Wannstedt. He's now an NFL analyst on our sister station, The Score, down in Chicago. Also does Big Ten football on the Big Ten network, a studio analyst there. He was the head coach. Jeff Hafley was his defensive assistant. I believe he was the D-backs coach under him back at the University of Pittsburgh. So we're going to pick his brain on Jeff Hafley, get his thoughts on the Badgers as he had an interview with Luke Fickell last week. All coming up next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Gotta say, it kind of feels like the greatest day. Brewers keep Brandon Woodruff, $22.5 million, 1 year qualifying offer accepted. Charlie said the Cubs bring back Imanaga as well, right? He accepted his offer from the Cubs.
Same deal, 22.5. That's the qualifying offer. He is also with Trent Grisham of the New York Yankees and Gleyber Torres of the Detroit Tigers.
Grisham and Torres, not worth the money.
No.
Imanaga, I had him in fantasy last year. He's up and down, not as consistent as you would like. But again, pitching not easy to find on the open market. So we'll see how they both do. I'm excited about Woodruff back with the Brewers for sure. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. He is NFL analyst for 670 The Score down in Chicago, our sister station here in Milwaukee. Also former Bears head coach, former college football head coach, now with the Big Ten Network, Big Ten football analyst in the studio. Coach Dave Wannstedt joins us. Coach, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. I'm happy to be on, and this is a fun time of year to be talking football. You got playoffs, and you got college football playoffs and bowl games. A lot going on, absolutely.
But the funny part about it is I want to talk about your history, your past, because during the TV broadcast on Sunday of the Packer game, they brought up that Jeff Hafley coached under Dave Wannstedt back in the day, back at Pitt. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, we should get Coach Dave Wannstedt on and see his thoughts on Jeff Hafley, the job he's doing in Green Bay, and what he was like at Pittsburgh when you had him underneath you when you were the head coach there.
Well, Jeff was actually at Albany, I believe, University of Albany, and he was down there visiting us in the spring practice. And I was always the head coach that if young coaches wanted to learn and they would want to come and watch us practice and sit in our meetings, in the spring and in training camp, I was always open to that because coaches were good with me. So Jeff showed up, and then next weekend we had something, and Jeff was there again, and he was down there recruiting, but every day that he had off, he was coming over and watching. And I kind of made a joke to our defensive coordinator. I said, this Jeff Hafley guy, he's around here so much. I said, if a job opens up, we should just hire him. And don't you know, about 2 weeks or a month later, a secondary job opened. And so I brought Jeff in. And I wasn't sure, obviously you're trying to get a feel for people. But I remember coming in the morning, we were going to have a staff meeting at maybe 7 a.m. So I got in there around 6, and I heard voices. And I remember like it was yesterday, walking down the hall, and outside of the defensive back meeting room, Jeff was in there. Now, he was like the assistant secondary coach at that time, and he was in there with the freshmen at 6 a.m., and he was talking football, teaching them, showing them tape, and doing everything, and this was all on his own before we got into the normal day. And I said to myself, I like the aggressiveness of this guy to want to help players and teach and coach. And then we got a full-time opening, and I moved him up to the secondary. And then when I left Pitt, I'll be honest with you, Greg Schiano called me up and said, hey, I got a spot or two. Who are your 1 or 2 best guys? And I said, Jeff Hafley. And then Greg hired Jeff, and the rest is kind of history.
Eventually he obviously gets his own head coaching job as well, and then ends up in the NFL with Matt LaFleur. Packer fans are dreading the day that if he gets hired by another NFL team to be a head coach and they lose him as defensive coordinator. Packer fans very happy with the job he did last year. And then obviously adding Micah Parsons makes things a little bit easier, but the job that he's done this year as well. Do you feel like he is a good fit to be an NFL head coach?
Yes, I do. I talked with Jeff when he was at Boston College, and I think he would have been if the NIL and the craziness of college football didn't kick in, I think he'd still be at Boston College as a head coach. But, in today's college football world, as you know, I remember talking to him when he took the job at Green Bay. I said, Jeff, what are you doing? And he said, Coach, I think he said two of my best players, and I won't tell you the school they went to, he says, just signed for a bunch of money with two schools that they thought were better opportunities, and we just can't compete on that level. And, that's unfortunately what college football's into nowadays. So is he ready to be a head coach? I think he's got a great background. I think he's the best thing about Jeff, I think, is he's a great communicator with people, whether it be players or staff members, owners, media. I think he can communicate well. He's really a smart guy. And, he's been in the league enough and he knows enough people that, and hopefully a little bit of influence when he was with me and stuff. I would always talk about, having the right people around you. I mean, that was Jimmy Johnson's theory. I carried that with me everywhere I was, Bears, Dolphins, and Pitt as a head coach. It's your people, so you got to have obviously good people around you as far as assistant coaches. And I think Jeff would do that.
So Dave Wannstedt joins us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, joining us on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. Coach, when you talk about the NIL and the craziness going on in college football, I saw you guys had a chance to talk with Badgers head coach Luke Fickell last week, and of course talking about his wrestling days and what he looks for in recruits and how wrestling ties into all of that and so forth. But in the state of the Badgers right now is not the same state of the Badgers as it was with Barry Alvarez, Brett Bielema, and even Paul Chryst. If we're being honest right now, it's kind of gone the wrong direction. Everybody was excited when they brought in Luke Fickell. He started talking about competing for a national championship, competing about the playoff and so forth. What do you make of Wisconsin and then the Badgers themselves deciding to stick with Luke Fickell going forward?
Number one, I'm a fan of Luke Fickell. I think he knows what he's doing, and he will get it done. I am glad that they kept him. I will say that on the record. I think that Luke, just last weekend, you mentioned last Friday on the Big Ten show, and I do, he was on there and he was up front and talked about it, that because I said, God, your defense, you're playing a lot of young players, and I see your defense getting better and starting to grasp your concepts. And I really noticed that from year one. But offensively, and I really didn't have to get into much, you've gone from the wide open offense to more of a run offense, and you've changed between changing quarterbacks and changing coordinators. You really don't, in the Big Ten conference with the teams you're playing, if you get into that cycle, it is tough. And then injuries. So you got injuries, change of quarterbacks, change of offensive coordinators and philosophy. It's tough to win in that environment. I think he's really got it figured out now. I think they're going to, support him totally. I made the example that back in the day, if there was a good player in the state of Wisconsin, I remember saying, oh God, he's a lineman, offense, defensive lineman. He's going to Wisconsin. Don't even go up there and try to recruit him. But in today's NIL world, where money's involved, I think, there's not that many players in the state of Wisconsin. I think Barry Alvarez once said there were probably around 10 players in the state that were top players. Now, probably 8 of them would go to Wisconsin, maybe all of them, I don't know, back in the day. Now, everybody's a national recruiter, and everybody's got money to spend. And so it's really changed the landscaping of recruiting and saying how many players you have in your state, and you're going to own your state and all that stuff. Same way in Pennsylvania. I mean, with Pitt, when I was at Pitt, we owned Western Pennsylvania. Nope, you could come in there, but we were going to keep you. And nowadays, it's not that way. So, it's changed. It has changed, and I think Luke, I think he'll be fine. I really, really do.
What about Brett Bielema, the job that he's done in Illinois, obviously being a former Badger coach, Badgers in Illinois coming up the next game. Obviously, Badger fans will have nothing more to beat Brett Bielema in Illinois, but he clearly has turned that program around in short order.
He has, and I know Brett pretty well. I mean, I went down and spent a few days with him actually when he was down at Arkansas. And I'll tell you what, it's how you tell if a program is a top winning program, in my opinion, is everybody can win a game once in a while or 4 or 5 times, 6 times a year. But can you win consistently, and can your team be prepared, and can your team go out and play at a consistently high level week after week after week? That's what separates the championship teams from the average teams. And Brett Bielema has done that. I mean, the guy really, their team, you look at the last few years, particularly now that he's kind of got his foundation settled in there. They have consistently been ready to play, come out of the gate and played at a high level, pretty much week after week. And that's why he's closing in on a possible 10-win season again, which obviously we all know has never, ever been done at the University of Illinois.
One last question. Coach Dave Wannstedt joins us now here on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Steve Sparky, Fifer with you. Are the Bears for real, Coach? Are we buying into the Chicago Bears? Because I don't think Packer fans are buying in quite yet, even though the Bears are in first place at this point. Obviously, you've watched them all year long. You've watched Caleb Williams with Ben Johnson now. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would ask you the same question. Are the Packers for real?
The Packers have a lot of stuff that they continue to shoot themselves in the foot with, so we'll see about that. But, yeah, I think that they can be for real. But, again, you can't drop 7 balls in a game, obviously.
Okay. I'm just not that I'm a little partial here with the Bears, but I just wanted to get your opinion on that. No, but in all seriousness, the Bears are a much improved team. I will say that. And, I summed it up this way yesterday talking to somebody. You can win one game being lucky. But if you're going to win 4, 5, 6 games in a row, you have to be doing some good things.
Yep.
And the Bears are doing some good things. Are they a dominant team? I don't think anybody in Chicago would say that. But are they a team that what's changed with their culture since Ben Johnson's gotten there is when you play the Bears, you better be ready to play them till the clock says 0 and the final whistle blows. Because this team is if there's a chance, they are going to try to win the football game on you. And that's been a big change, I think, mentally for the Bears football team since Ben Johnson's gotten there.
Okay, I lied. I got one more. Have you seen enough from Caleb Williams to make you think he's the guy going forward?
Yes, I have. Yeah, and I think that I think as he gains experience in this offense, the biggest thing that's missing right now is that big play action passes that you see with Detroit. But I think they're coming. I think they are coming. And, the things that Ben's working on, we're running the ball better. Caleb, he's using Caleb's legs. He's just kind of figuring out what he can and can't do. And Dennis Allen is really a good defensive coordinator. We got some really good players. We don't have some dominant players in certain areas, but no, and they're all on the same page here too. I've been up there obviously several times, and they've all kind of been tied in together. I was talking about Jeff Hafley getting a staff together that he trusts. That's how it is up at the Bears with Ben and Dennis Allen, and all of the coaches are all tied in someplace between Detroit and New Orleans and Miami. They've all kind of crossed paths and worked together. So it's a group that's all talking the same talk, and I think that's you're seeing that on the football field.
Of former coaches that do what you do for a living, I think you're the best. I mean, I listen to you from time to time on the Score. I think you're amazing and do a great job. So I love the fact that you're in the media and stay in the media, and please don't ever leave it. Dave Wannstedt, 670 The Score NFL analyst, former Bears head coach and NCAA head coach as well. Catch him now on the Big Ten Network as an analyst in the studio talking Big Ten football. Coach, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you, guys.
You betcha. Take care. There he is, Dave Wannstedt on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. And I'm telling you, I not just sitting there kissing that dude's butt. That dude is legitimately really, really good at what he does. If you're ever able to catch him through social media or streaming the score in Chicago or whatever, he is so good. He is funny. He's witty. He lets you behind the scenes in so many different ways throughout his career. He's just so, so good. And anytime I got a chance to get Dave Wannstedt on, I do. And with the tie into Halfley, I was like, oh, good. Here's my chance to call in a favor and see if we can get Wannstedt on. And I'm glad he came on, Charlie.
I am too. It's always awesome to hear from somebody who's a former Bear in some capacity.
Why did I ask you? I don't know. I didn't even ask you. I just said Charlie, and then you hopped in. That was a mistake on my part.
That's asking for a response.
Totally. Yes, I was, and I shouldn't have. The Milwaukee Bucks, they're a pretty good basketball team. We're still waiting, right? We haven't seen anything yet on Giannis. So
not yet.
As we get news on Giannis, we'll break. My luck, this thing will break at like 6 o'clock, would be my guess. But we'll see how long it takes to get the Giannis news there. We did get the Brandon Woodruff news, and he is back with the Brewers. 1 year, $22.5 million. He accepts the qualifying offer with the Brewers. So that is good news. Coming up, we'll get to Charlie's Sounds of the Day. Don't forget, if you are heading to a Bucks home game this year, make sure to take that shuttle from the Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. All you got to do is make a same-day bet at the Potawatomi Sportsbook or make a purchase at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. That Sportsbook kitchen is amazing, folks. I'm telling you, homemade desserts and pastries, 48 beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails, all-day brunch. I got the John Kuhn platter that you can have as well when you're there. So definitely check out the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And then you can take that shuttle over, park it in the garage. It's free. You don't got to pay 40 or 50 bucks. Take it on over to the game, and then shuttles start coming back as early as, I believe, the start of the third quarter, which I think is craziness. Like, if I was in charge of that shuttle, it would be the fourth quarter. I ain't bringing nobody back at the start of the third quarter, man. That's crazy. That's
Some people got kids at home and stuff.
Half a basketball, man. You can't be leaving the start of the third quarter. But anyways, to get more information on the shuttle going from the Potawatomi Hotel Casino, make sure to check it out. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. You can also reserve your seats there as well if you want to reserve a seat in the sportsbook. Nominal fee, but you get all that back towards your food and beverage that night. Charlie Sounds of the Day next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. This was Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky here, Charlie using over there, other side of the glass. I just saw a tweet or an X post, whatever the hell you call it, at me. Said at Sparky Radio, wow, got a chance to meet Murphy this weekend at the coaches clinic. That'd be Pat Murphy, the Brewers manager, which was awesome. Murph is the man. And I asked if Woodruff was coming back. He was not confident. Thought Woodruff would get a 4-year deal with the Mets, Braves, Rangers, or Cubs. Glad he was pulling my leg or wrong. That's from Sean messaging me at Sparky Radio. I was fortunate enough last year to take my kid to the Pat Murphy clinic that he did, and he does it at a place called The Rock in Franklin, Wisconsin, southeastern Wisconsin. And it's a very cool deal. Did it last year, and he did it again this year as well. And at the one I was at last year, he did a great job of bringing all the parents together and like, okay, I'll answer baseball questions. Go. Right? And baseball questions meaning like how to take care of your 12-year-old's arm if he's a pitcher, and should he pitch and should he catch, and all of this different stuff. Is it worth going to, these PBR showcases and all of these questions? And Murphy was taking his time and going through and answering everybody's questions that they had. Very cool deal that he did last year. I didn't know if he'd do it again this year. He did. And again, listening to Sean, it sounds like he did the same type of thing again this year. So props for sure for Pat Murphy. And they do a great job coaching up the kids and stuff. The last couple of years doing that. So good stuff there. All right, time to get to Charlie's segment.
1, 2, 3. What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, Charlie, sounds of the day. Where do we go first?
First up, we were talking with Dave Wannstedt earlier in the show, right before this segment here, and he talked with Luke Fickell last week. Well, the media talked with Luke Fickell yesterday, and he was discussing how he plans on managing injuries moving forward.
You can't just chalk it up to bad luck. Coach Brady and I have talked about that over and over again. I do think when you start to look at things and say, okay, is there something that's showing up? Is it soft tissue issues? Is it hamstrings? Is it stingers? Things that, that you think that you can train a little bit different. Unfortunately we've had knees and shoulders and there's not something that you've pinpointed. Maybe you walked in the door and had a lot of hip surgeries, and that was something we said, okay, we got to look at the way we train. I do think that when you have older group of guys, Coach Brady and I have talked about this, I think we need to train them a little bit different, almost more like pros. And so if there's anything we know that's going to be different as we move forward, January, older guys will train in a different way. I think the things are going to be more important to us than, maybe getting a mat drill in there in mid-January and February as it is to, okay, what does this guy specifically in particular need? So that we can make sure that he's ready for, March, April, May, and then obviously the following season.
I didn't want to hear that. Why did I like this?
Why didn't you want to hear that?
Because it's just disappointing. What the hell do you mean? Maybe we should figure out what the guy needs to work on between now and the start of the season. You think?
You mean the guy that you're paying like at least tens of thousands of dollars for most of these guys?
What are we doing? I don't understand. What do you mean now we're going to start thinking about what a certain guy? So let me see if I got this right, Coach. You're telling me that you've been doing the same thing with all these dudes, regardless of position or anything else. We're just doing the same blanket stuff every winter for everybody, and we're not specializing on any of these cats? That's what we're talking about? Is that what he said?
That is exactly what he said, actually.
Good Lord. Play the next clip. That's horrible.
This one probably won't make you feel any better. We're going to head over to Arizona State, where head coach Kenny Dillingham was doing what I think a lot of people wish Luke Fickell would do, and calling for Arizona businesses to sponsor their players.
There's opportunity for real NIL here, where our players are being branded. Your company is seeing that. You see the support. The community wants to go support you because you're supporting the athlete. And we can do that at such a high scale. Every restaurant, if you don't have a food item named after an Arizona State Sun Devil, why? Like, I don't get it. $500 a month, $1,000 a month, right? It's a business expense because it's a marketing expense, right? If you're a local company and you want to engage community, or if you're a new business and you want to get people involved, what better way to get your brand out there to, the city than utilizing our players? So everybody thinks this is like a race to, I can't give a $70,000, $700,000 deal. No, we have a city behind us. If every restaurant in our city gave a kid a $500 or $1,000 a month deal to advertise them for them, I don't know the math behind the amount of restaurants, but I feel like we'd be in a good spot. And I know we're not going to get all of them. But what if we got 25% of them, right? And I think that's the last piece of this thing that, and I'm never satisfied. I want to keep pushing.
Funny you play that. I don't know if you saw this or not earlier today from On3 Sports a few hours ago. Breaking: Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt's return to the program in 2026 is doubtful, according to Pete Nakos. Leavitt's campus actively shopping the talented passer, quote, at a high level. Maybe that's why he's trying to get more money, because he is going to start losing players left and right. And I am telling you, from a person that has been down at that Arizona State campus multiple times, you are not going to find a better campus for any dude walking around this country than you are Arizona State. Like, that campus is amazing in so many different aspects. So that is, in my opinion, somebody that's trying to get paid. I mean, with all due respect to Nebraska, it's not Nebraska. Right. I mean, it's not Iowa. It's Arizona State. And there's a lot going on at Arizona State, whether it be sports, whether it be nightlife, whether it be whatever. There's a lot going on. So unbelievable that. I mean, his ideas are good. I don't know how much it adds up to. $1,000, the Charlie using euro or whatever it is. Okay, that's $1,000. Does that help Charlie? Sure, it helps Charlie for $1,000. But how far does that get Charlie from not going somewhere else? That I'm not quite sure about. All right, what's the last one?
And last up here, yesterday I played the clip of Jamar Chase denying spitting on Jalen Ramsey. Today I wanted to head over to the Debo and Joe podcast, which is hosted by James Harrison, former Pittsburgh Steeler, and Joe Hayden, former Pittsburgh Steeler and Cleveland Brown. This is James Harrison. If you know James Harrison, he is not a very kind-looking man. He's actually very scary, saying what he would do to somebody if they spit on him during a game.
He ain't did nothing to that guy. He said he ain't opened his mouth to that guy. But you know what's so crazy, man? The eye in the sky don't lie. 50,000 cameras out, and you got other people. It wasn't like I was talking and something just fly.
It wasn't to say it don't spread.
Bruh, you spit on that man. It ain't nothing more disrespectful than spitting on somebody. If you spit on me, I'm going to find out where you at in the offseason. Find out where you go in the offseason, where you go to kick it. And all of a sudden, it was a random attack. Somebody in a ski mask slapped so-and-so in the head with a bottle as he was leaving, whatever. I got to get my get back.
Yep. But you want to know what? He ain't spitting on James Harrison. Because when James Harrison played, he was that kind of crazy. Ain't nobody messing with James Harrison like that. Because James Harrison was that dude that was going to go find you later. And he was going to get back, like he called his get back. He was going to get it. Whether it be in February, March, April, whatever, to pop up at a beach and just beat your tail end.
There was a reason James Harrison was drafted or undrafted as low as he was because of this. He's that good of a player. He's a Hall of Fame level player.
Good football player.
He was just a psycho, if we're being honest. And this is just crazy. Like that, I had to play that.
But I mean, that's like in the NBA, right?
Right.
I mean, okay, you're going to mess. Draymond Green's going to mess with guys. Mm-hmm. Draymond Green ain't going to mess with Larry Sanders. Because Larry had that look in his eyes. Draymond ain't going to poke that because Larry
mess with Victor Wembanyama when he dunks on him and stuff, and he won't take that.
Right, but Larry Sanders, you look at Larry, you go, I ain't messing with that dude. Right? I mean, there are some cats you look at and you just know, no, that one I'm not going to go after. Other dudes, you're like, I'm going to mess with that dude all day because he ain't going to fight nobody. Right? So you're going to go after certain guys. So you just got to pick where you got to go. Clearly, nobody was scared in the Jamar Chase fight. Neither one took each other seriously. Neither one thought the other was going to do anything. And that's how that whole thing goes. You spit on somebody. To agree with him, I said the same thing yesterday. It doesn't get worse than that, man. It does not get worse than that. But if you do that, that really tells me that you really have no fear of the other person doing anything remotely serious to you if you decide you're going to do that.
Right. That means you think you're on top of the world and this person can't touch you at all, which, I mean, to Jamar Chase's credit, over Jalen Ramsey right now, yeah, usually I would say that.
Just absolutely crazy. All right, coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, lots to still get to on the show. We're still waiting on news on Giannis of whether or not he's going to be able to play here the next couple of games. He's going to be out multiple weeks. Is he going to be out a month? Who knows? Still waiting on that news on that groin injury that he suffered last night and the loss to the Cavaliers. Plus, Brandon Woodruff stays with the Brewers, accepting his offer, qualifying offer, 1 year, $22.5 million. He remains with the Milwaukee Brewers. Coming up next, green and gold update time. Then we get ahead of ourselves. We're thinking the Packers front seven was going to be all that in a bag of chips. Because I think we might have. We'll get into that straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Fifer with you here on a Tuesday.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
All right, it is time again. Welcome in. See Sparky Fifer with you. Charlie using other side of the glass. And we have some news on Giannis coming from ESPN. And it apparently is Doc Rivers saying, quote, I don't know what grade it is, referring to the groin strain of Giannis, but I know it's not a bad one. So that's good news for us. Probably 2 weeks he'll be out, hopefully less on Giannis. Now, I hesitate to go with this because as we talked with Eric Nehm earlier in the show, Doc hasn't been exactly on it necessarily with some of the stuff he has said with medical information. So I tend to want to wait before leaping off of a bridge onto the, Giannis is only going to be out 2 weeks or less until I actually see something, with all due respect to Doc, wait for it, from Sharania, because I'm pretty sure Giannis's agents are the ones that are feeding him. So get me something from him, get me something from Eric Nehm or Ozarski, or maybe even the Bucks sent out a press release. That'd be something. I'd like that. That would be great if I got that in my email before we got out of here at 5 o'clock. That'd be fine too. Not going to run with the Doc stuff. I hope he's right. I hope he's not talking out of school and guessing. I really hope he's not guessing. Because, again, I hope he's right. I hope he's right, Charlie.
He's got to be right. I feel like if you're going to come out and say something like that, this is the season.
He just talks, man.
This is the season. You can't just talk about that.
He just talks, man. I'm telling you, he just talks. Probably like less than 2 weeks. I don't think he didn't look that bad to me in the locker room. Probably less than 2 weeks.
Even though you said
it's that severe.
3 different times he said it got hurt during that game and you still let him keep going out there.
There is that.
Mm-hmm.
There is that. So that's the update from Doc. So we'll see. We'll see how this whole thing plays out. I guess I'm not really buying in all the way that this is going to be the case. But we'll see how the whole thing plays out.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Fifer.
All right, time to get to our green and gold update. Nobody talking today for the Green Bay Packers, but we have a Packer topic for you. And Charlie was the one that came up with this topic. And I don't think Charlie realized all the information that absolutely came out this afternoon in regards to said topic. Maybe you did see the tweets that I'm about to reference, but it worked out absolutely perfectly with what Charlie wanted to talk about. The question is, did we get ahead of ourselves as Packer fans with thinking that this Packers front seven was going to be really all that good besides, Micah Parsons? Like everybody was going to eat now that Micah Parsons is in there and this front seven is going to be really, really good. And it hasn't been really, really good necessarily if we're being honest with ourselves. Nicolay Law talking text line, 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. On the socials at WI Sports Radio. You can follow us and live stream us on X or YouTube, whether it be that or Facebook and so forth. So one of my favorite accounts to follow, I follow a lot of accounts. I live on my phone, so if we're being honest. Zach Cruz, who is the managing editor and writer for the Packers Wire, senior editor, NFL Wires for USA Today, tweeted out multiple things concerning the Packers front to this point. First tweet, this was just a couple hours ago. Panthers and Eagles were hell-bent on not allowing the Packers pass rush to take over the game. Harder to explain what happened against the Giants. Parsons is great every single week, but it's time for Gary and Wyatt, and eventually LVN, to be disruptive again. So this plays right into the conversation that you wanted to have, Charlie, about this front seven not getting to the quarterback like they probably should be getting to the quarterback right now.
I did. This came from something that I read yesterday. It was Bill Huber's Good, Bad, and Ugly that he usually does after the game with the
Another
Packers.
Great writer.
And he was discussing how Micah Parsons looked really good, but then it felt like nobody else was out there. And then he brought up the fact that in this game on Sunday, Kingsley Enagbare ended up getting more snaps than Rashawn Gary, a guy that we were expecting to be all-pro type of player this season with Micah Parsons on the other side. And he started off the season that way. And it just feels like slowly but surely we're seeing what we've seen out of Rashawn Gary time and time again, starting to creep up here. And it's not even just him. Devontae Wyatt hasn't really looked as good as he did before his injury, and he's come back, and it's just kind of been a little bit of a struggle for him, especially against the Panthers and then the Giants this past week in that defensive front. Again, the linebackers, they are still just as athletic as they always are, but you see them just make wrong decisions every week, and you see them hit the wrong holes or fly too hard to a gap, and then it leads to a missed tackle. But then you also see awesome plays from them, so you know they can do it. It just feels like Micah Parsons is going out here and doing his thing every week, and it's just not going anywhere because nobody else is on the same page as him.
Okay, defensive snaps, okay? Defensive snaps in this game, since you brought that up. Now, I'm not going to talk about the secondary because that's where a lot of them are. But if you talk about linebacker, Edgerrin Cooper played 71 of 72 snaps, okay? Now, McKinney played all 72. He's the only one that played 100%. But if we're just not counting secondary, then Micah Parsons on the defensive line, 61 snaps, good for 85%. Then McDuffie, 53 snaps for 74%. Then Colby Wooden played 48 snaps on the defensive line. Then just defensive line and linebackers. Enagbare with 40 snaps. Then Rashawn Gary at 39 snaps. Quay Walker left hurt, if you remember. 38 snaps with that stinger. Carl Brooks, 37. Devontae Wyatt, 34 snaps for him.
This is the guy that wants to get paid. This is the guy that is...
I don't think it's his call, man. They kept rolling Stackhouse in there. Stackhouse at like 14 or 15.
It is his call if he just plays better. I don't know. If you feel like an undrafted free agent deserves a better chance at a starting position or being rotated into that group, Devontae Wyatt, figure it out, man.
Yeah.
You should want to be out there the entire game. You should want to be out there at least 50% of the snaps, and you could barely do that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And you definitely want Rashawn Gary to be playing as many snaps as Micah Parsons. The bare minimum.
Right.
He should be out there as many snaps as Micah Parsons is out there, bare minimum.
Especially without Van Ness out there.
Correct. Now, let's talk more about Rashawn Gary. I go back to Zach Cruz again. Rashawn Gary produced 4 or more pressures during 6 of the Packers' first 7 games. Okay? That's good. He was rolling, remember?
We'll take that.
He has only 7 total pressures and no sacks and no hits over the last 3 games.
And you can see it. You see how much pressure Micah Parsons can try to get in some of these games, and then just the other side is completely open every single time. And then Micah Parsons has to chase down the quarterback from the other side.
Do you know how many pass rush snaps he's had or what he's averaging over the last 3?
I feel like I'm scared to ask.
He's averaging 18 pass rush snaps per game over the last 3 only. That's not going to cut it, man. You're paying that dude to get to the quarterback. And I understand you're paying Micah Parsons a hell of a lot more. Understood. But he should be out there, like we said, as much as Micah Parsons. This dude got to 7 like that in sacks. You're like, okay, we're going to get to double-digit sacks. Here we go. Rashawn Gary's going to have that year. And he got there and boom, hit a wall and hasn't gotten near the quarterback.
It's frustrating. This is, again, a guy that at the end of the season last year, you saw him start to show what he could be. And then the beginning of the season this year was full blown into that because Micah Parsons is on the other side. At some point here, Micah Parsons is going to get burnt out because he is going so hard and he's going to take less snaps. And some of these guys have to step up when he's not on the field. And that has to be a Rashawn Gary. That has to be a Devontae Wyatt. That has to be Edgerrin Cooper in some of these blitz packages some more.
Lucas Van Ness.
Lucas Van Ness when he gets healthy. Yes, you need all these guys to just do more than what you're seeing from them right now.
More from Zach Cruz. Packers also need Devontae Wyatt to rebound as a rusher, as you said, right? Wyatt had 13 total pressures during the first 3 games of the season. 13. Then he hurt his knee in Dallas in week 4 and didn't return until week 8. In the last 3 games, Devontae Wyatt has 2 pressures, no sacks, no hits in the last 3 games.
That's crazy. And you can't really tell me he's getting double teamed all that much because Micah Parsons is getting double teamed almost every single play, it feels like, at points. And I know against a team like the Giants, they have a little bit of a stronger tackle core, so that helps them kind of single out a Micah Parsons.
That Carolina offensive line was a bunch of second string guys.
Right. It was a bunch of second string guys and Ikem Ekwonu, who's a 3rd-year player. Like, that's not somebody that you should be that afraid of. This is extremely frustrating considering, again, what we talked about, what Cruz is talking about. The first 2 games, 3 games of the season was awesome. Where is that?
See, and I don't know how much, and again, we don't sit here and look at all the stats for all the other defensive linemen around the National Football League. Like, is this something normal to where every defensive lineman has a dip at some point during the season because the season is so long where they get worn down, they get tired, they get beat up, whatever else. And then hopefully at the end of the season, they catch by the end of the season, they catch their second win and they pick up the pace again. The problem is, like everybody keeps pointing to, maybe it's unrealistic, that you want to be playing at that dominant effort every single week throughout the entire season. 17 games playing at a high level. Now, there is a reason why Myles Garrett is who he is, 12 sacks every year. There's a reason why who he is. TJ Watt and Micah Parsons and these guys are who they are. Why? Because they play with that same level of effort and energy and intensity and working on their craft nonstop and all of that stuff and putting up these numbers every week, all season long. Then you have the good players that maybe aren't the great players that you don't get that same type of consistency from a production standpoint throughout the year. Prior to this year with Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary was always given the out, which was, hey, nobody gets double teamed more than Rashawn Gary. That dude's not getting a fair shake from you, Sparky. He gets doubled all the time. When they got Rashawn Gary, literally said the guy under the most pressure right now is Rashawn Gary. Because if you can't get double-digit sacks with Micah Parsons on the same line as you, we got a problem. Like, there's something that needs to be addressed here. And then he gets to 7. I was like, whoo, I was right. Okay, he's going to get like 12 or 14 sacks. He is rolling. And poof, hadn't done anything since then. Like, that must change. You talk about wide receiver drops. You talk about cornerbacks dropping interceptions and all of that. The other part of this that has to be figured out with Jeff Havley's defense are these guys that are supposed to be dudes have to start playing like them and getting production. I'm not saying they're not trying hard. I'm not saying they're not playing hard. I'm simply saying there's no production right now from anybody not named Micah Parsons. That must change.
The reason your defense is playing so well right now is because, honestly, you're playing a little bit scared. You're backing up the corners. You're running zone 90% of these games. Your defensive front, Micah Parsons, is getting enough pressure on his own, so you're just kind of okay with that for the moment. At some point here, it's going to bite you in the butt. You're going to be playing a ton of divisional games, 3 in a row coming up here, that are all going to be hard-fought battles that they aren't just going to allow you to be safe the entire game. Ben Johnson's smarter than that. You have Kevin O'Connell. He's smarter than that. Dan Campbell hopefully gives his play calling duties back to somebody else.
No, we don't want that.
Just something else. And he's probably going to be better. That offense is going to be more creative. You have to be creative as a defense too. You have the talent in that group. Be aggressive. Find ways to get this defensive front going outside of just Micah Parsons doing whatever he can.
That's exactly right. And from the standpoint of how far can this team go, if you don't believe that Jordan Love and this Packers offense can be dominant, if you don't believe that this offense can be top 3 offense in the NFC when the season ends and playing at a high level, if you're like, there's too many questions, there's no way they're going to get there, Sparky. Okay. Then the defense has to be playing at a near dominant level, like the Eagles defense is right now. And they are capable of possibly doing that. But the dudes up front must get home more consistently than they are right now because you don't have corners that can play at that level. So it's all based on your front 7 doing their job and then Hafley setting random blitzes from time to time to pressure the quarterback. But if your defense isn't getting home and your offense isn't playing at a high level, you can forget about a Super Bowl.
I think part of the reason the Eagles constantly have so much just aggression on defense, guys playing 100 miles an hour, is because I think the Eagles, the way they go about running their defense, basically says, if you're not playing 100%, we're taking you out. We're finding a replacement. We'll go out there. Your job is on the line every single week.
Yep.
And I think at some point here, Jeff Hafley has to go in with that mentality. And I understand defensive back group, you don't really have that depth. Defensive line, you do. And it seems like that's kind of what he's starting to do with guys like Devontae Wyatt and Rashawn Gary. You have to earn that playing time some point here.
It's Charlie Hughes and C. Sparky Fifer with you. It's that time of the year, the sing-songy, family gathering, baked goodsy season. And Wendy's went and made the Frosty of your holiday dreams. It's a snickerdoodle cookie frosty fusion. made with swirls of sweet, gooey snickerdoodle sauce and chunks of cinnamony snickerdoodle cookies. It's full-on cookie nostalgia. So preheat those mouth ovens because the Snickerdoodle Cookie Frosty Fusion is here, and it's seriously delicious. The iconic Frosty mixed with sweet Snickerdoodle cookies, it's gotta be Wendy's. Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's, live on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget, Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with Tommy Wirtz comes up today at 5. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky here, Charlie Hughes, other side of the glass. Coming up, Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with Tommy Wirtz. We're going to jump in on this Giannis stuff still. I don't know if anybody else has anything other than Doc Rivers right now, but Doc Rivers on ESPN talking about the idea that it's probably going to be 2 weeks, maybe less than 2 weeks, with the groin injury of Giannis. So the question that we have is this. Do you have, when we start talking about Giannis out, how does your outlook on the Bucks change for these next couple of weeks? How does it change for these next couple of weeks? You got more, Charlie?
Shams Charania, your favorite Milwaukee
Bucks.
Bucks.
What I'd like to hear.
Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo sustained a low-grade left groin strain and will miss 1 to 2 weeks, sources tell ESPN. Positive outcome after test Tuesday for Antetokounmpo, who is the only player in the NBA averaging 30 points and 10 rebounds.
Okay, so his source, whether it's the Bucks, Giannis's agent, whoever his source is, says 1 to 2 weeks. Doc said 2 weeks or less, so we're in the same general ballpark. Fine. So how does your outlook now for the Bucks for the next couple of weeks change with this news on Giannis? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. Thanks for listening in Green Bay and Appleton on WNFL 99.7 FM, in Wausau 93.9 The Game, Duluth Superior 710 The Game, and of course in Milwaukee on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Charlie, how does your outlook change here for the next couple of weeks? And I will quickly tell you what they have coming up. They are at home against the Sixers coming up on Thursday night. Then they are at home against the Pistons on Saturday night, at home against Portland on Monday the 24th. Then it's NBA Cup time, group stage. Then they go to Miami for a game on Wednesday, November 26th, night before Thanksgiving. Then another NBA Cup game on Friday night after Thanksgiving in New York against the Knicks. Then back home the next night against the Nets on the 29th. And then the following week, they're at the Wizards on Monday. The 3rd, they're home against the Pistons. The 5th, they're home against the Sixers. That's what it looks like right now for the next couple of weeks.
You got a lot of variance there. There's going to be teams in like Philadelphia who are a little healthier now. Paul George just came back last night. He only put up 9 points, but that's still another piece that's going to add a little bit of a struggle for the Bucks.
No Embiid, though.
No Embiid, but Paul George is still a former MVP caliber player.
And Andre Drummond apparently found the fountain of youth.
3-point shooter, baby.
He had a huge game last night again. But yeah, go ahead.
Detroit's a good team. That's always going to give a good fight there. Portland isn't as strong, but they're a young team that's going to be athletic. They're going to match your speed in a game like that. Miami isn't that great. I feel okay about this stretch. I think
he said a week or less, right?
Yeah. Or so, 1 to 2 weeks.
1 to 2 weeks. So today's the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
So a week from today would be the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Their next cup game is the 26th.
Perfect.
Want to bet he's back, regardless if he's healthy or not? Wednesday, November 26th in Miami against the Heat. If I was a betting man going down to Potawatomi Sportsbook, if that bet was available, I would bet he plays in South Beach against the Heat on the night before Thanksgiving.
I think my outlook becomes what you guys have always had outlooks of, because I always felt like, Giannis should come back as fast as he can. Players should come back as fast as they can. I don't know. In this situation, Giannis, take the 2 weeks.
Damn right.
That's what I say.
Who cares about
after a game like that, where you came out multiple times not feeling right, take that break. You have 2 weeks here where it's not the toughest stretch of your season. Again, I think Doc Rivers should really want to see what he can get out of this squad without Giannis. I think this is something that they may have to deal with later on in the season, potentially in the playoffs if they're that good in the East like they semi are right now, just because the rest of the East is so struggling. But I think the Bucks need to take this opportunity to learn more about themselves without Giannis. And I think that's a good thing. I think this is something that this Bucks team needs. Giannis also needs a break. And at some point here, this type of play that he has, him running to the basket, scoring 30 points and getting 10 rebounds like Shams is talking about, is going to catch up to him. And it's going to result in an injury longer than this.
A groin injury is something like a hamstring you don't play with, in my opinion, right? Because you could tear a hamstring and you're screwed. You could tear your groin and you're really going to be screwed going forward as far as not having him. You want to talk about wasting a season because coming back too early? I know he's one player, but he's the season. So if he comes back because it's the Cup and I got to play, and then he goes out there and something horrible happens in that Heat game or that Knicks game 2 nights later, the day after Thanksgiving at Madison Square Garden, and he gets hurt in either one of those 2 games and then he's gone for the year, then it's over. Just turn off the TV. It's done. It's all done.
Sure, trade for Paul George at that point, just for the hell of it.
I'm not trading for anybody at that point. Season's over. I'm trading everybody at that point.
That's what I'm saying. Bring in the big contracts to sell the team away.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly. So you do not want to rush him back. From my perspective, looking at this, and we'd love to hear from, obviously, you as well concerning Giannis. They're saying 1 to 2 weeks now with Giannis, Corey Shams Charania. With Giannis out, how does your outlook on the Bucks change? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. I don't care if they win games or not without Giannis. We had Eric Nehm on earlier, Bucks beat writer for The Athletic in the first hour, and he said, man, just win a couple games, right? Just try to make the deficit not as big as if, you lose all of the games. Win a couple. You're not going to win all of them. You're not going to probably even win a majority of them. Win a couple of them. I think I'm with you on that, but this is where we could see maybe AJ Green start to play like he deserves $9 million a year. Like, step up and do something, man, for some of these games without Giannis being out there. Let's see the ball go in the basket more than once every 4 or 5 games. I want more out of AJ Green. And I'm not even talking about defensively. Defensively, he's having all kinds of issues. I'm not even talking about defensively. I'm just talking about offensively scoring the basketball. That's one guy. Ryan Rollins has balled out every time he's had the opportunity where there has been no Giannis. And in fact, there was a tweet put out that I saved. Let me bring that up. Of Ryan Rollins' numbers when there has been no Giannis out there to this point, which makes you believe that Ryan Rollins will continue to ball out without Giannis because he's going to be able to be a guy that's going to control the ball. Ty Windish, Eurostep Podcast. Ryan Rollins in the 3 games Giannis missed some or all of. 32 points, 8 assists against Golden State. They won that game. 25 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds against Charlotte. 24, 5, and 3 against Cleveland. So I'm pretty confident Ryan Rollins will score the basketball and he'll do his job. Paige and Kyle Kuzma. Here is yet another opportunity for you, Matt, and you've been better than we all thought. So I ain't bashing on Kuzma.
Awesome games this season
right.
so far.
I'm just saying, you want to get more run your way when Giannis comes back. Here's your chance. Show these cats what you can do. Hey, give me the ball. Go average 20 in these games while Giannis is out and show that you can be more of a scoring type player on this team. Because right now it's like, pick up the guard and run down with Luka Doncic the entire time, every single freaking time. And then, oh, hey, try and hit a jumper while you're at it and your legs are dead when you've been running around the whole game. That's kind of what they're putting him in right now. And that's part of the reason what Eric Nehm said earlier, which was they want him to slash and screen and so forth. They ain't about him sitting in a corner jacking up threes. That's because Doc knows he's killing his legs by having him chase guys full court on the defensive side of the floor. So, again, if I could get some Kyle Kuzma action, like if Kuzma could average, 20 and 6, 20 and 7 rebounds, that is, not assists. If he can do that for the next week and a half, 2 weeks, that would be a huge win for this Bucks team, and they might win a couple of these games.
I don't even know if you need that many points. I would say 15, 7, and add in 2 steals during that stretch to a game.
Right.
Play good defense, play tough defense, and go out there, like you're saying, be that screener, be that slasher, be the guy that can semi-replace what Giannis can do, because you can't replace Giannis. Nobody can ever replace Giannis at this point, probably ever in NBA history, just what he does. But you can go out there and try to do the little things that Giannis does right.
I'll be honest, if this happens 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, Oladipo would have been my call. I've been like, let's see. But I don't know if he has the legs under him to come up here and play right now. I mean, I've seen some highlights on social media with him playing with the Herd. I don't know if he's there yet. But realistically, if that dude has anything left to give you offensively, it would be a good time to utilize that when you don't have Giannis out there, right? At some point. But I don't think he's got the legs yet under him to potentially do that. Without having seen him play at this point. So the question is, with Giannis out, how does your outlook on the Bucks change here for the next couple of weeks? It's not about wins and losses for me. It's about some of these guys stepping up and taking advantage of an opportunity and showing they can be more of an offensive presence than they've been to this point. What about you? Nikolai Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials. WI Sports Radio coming in from the Let's see, 307. Bucks Nation sending a speedy recovery to MVP Giannis and to be back soon. Yes, I would agree. I think everybody wants to see Giannis back. But again, to Charlie's point, please do not rush him back. I beg of you not to rush him back. Let's go to Doug in Racine. You're next on the Nicolay Law Talking text line here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up, Doug?
Hey, I was telling Charlie I would like to see Kuz be like the Middleton piece, where it's Giannis, Kuz, and Miles, and they pick it up, and
it would be a huge win.
He's been playing real well, and like I was telling Charlie, I guess he dedicated a lot of time to working on his craft this summer. So
yeah, I mean, that's a perfect scenario. That's a dream scenario. Like if John Horst could have a dream fantasy type deal play out here, if Kuzma gets into that type of scoring role, like you brought up with Middleton, that's a dream scenario, because then they don't really have to go do something at the deadline if Kuzma's giving them 20 a night.
Yeah, and he wants to get paid, so I'm thinking he's going to play hard no matter what.
That's funny you bring that up, Doug, because I just called up his contract and his numbers. Thanks for the call. So this year, Kyle Kuzma, age 30 season, $22.4 million is the cap hit, okay? Next season, 26-27, age 31, his cap number is $20.3 million, and then a free agent. So yes, to your point of Kuzma can really make himself a lot of money if he can figure out how to be the 2 to Giannis this year and next year, especially if they get in some postseason success and Kuzma shows out in a couple of games in the playoffs. He can really set himself up to get a really big deal here before it's all said and done.
He could. He has a lot of competition. Ryan Rollins wants to be that too. Ryan Rollins wants to get paid eventually. Kevin Porter Jr., when he's healthy, wants to be the 2, and he wants to get paid eventually. Miles Turner just got paid and wants to prove he can be a number 2.
Yeah, Miles Turner offensively just can't do it. But let's just talk a little bit about Rollins versus Kuzma, okay? If you're going to continue to have Giannis bring up the ball and it's not Rollins, Giannis controls who gets the ball or whether he keeps it and so forth. That takes away the opportunity for Rollins to get into the offensive flow in large part. That's why his numbers look so good when Giannis isn't on the floor, right? So that's what's going to hold Ryan Rollins back going forward, unless they say, okay, Ryan, you're going to be the 6th man. You're going to run this offense on the second level. When Giannis goes out, you're going to be our guy on that second level. Kuzma, same type of deal. Differing points here is with Giannis and Kuzma both on the floor at the same time, they might be able to play off each other a little bit more as far as Giannis drawing guys, and now it's Kuzma driving in, hitting a mid-range jumper, whatever the case may be. You might have more of a chance on Kuzma. Giannis always figured out ways how to get Middleton involved to get him his shots because he trusted Middleton, he believed in Middleton, and he wanted to make sure Middleton had that opportunity to score. I don't know necessarily if he's there with Giannis right now. And with Kuzma right now being Giannis, as far as that, we always talk about trust. I don't know if that is there yet. You got 2 weeks. You go out and you play at a high level and average 20 and show Giannis, hey, man, I want you back, but I can ball too, and I'm better than I've been before. You just got to trust me and let me get my shots. You do something like that, maybe you get to that point. I just don't think they're at that point yet, Charlie.
I don't think so either. You saw it with the game-winning attempt that Giannis had a week ago. You saw that there were guys open around him, and yes, I think that was mostly Doc Rivers' play call during that game as well.
Right.
Obviously, you saw Ryan Rollins not moving from that spot at all. If he really wanted that ball, he would have ran in front of Giannis and shot the ball. That's exactly how most guys would rotate that. Yep. That's how Steph Curry would have rotated that. Giannis didn't feel the need to pass the ball in that situation, even though he was getting double-teamed by the end of that shot when he was turning around to take it. I mean, this is a situation where eventually Giannis has to trust other people, or again, you're going to find yourself in situations where he's going to get hurt for longer periods of time because he's trying to take on more than he needs to at this point. Ryan Rollins is proving that he can be a really good player for this team. Kyle Kuzma is proving he can be a really good player for this team. Miles Turner has had his moments. Everybody on this team has felt like they've had their moments so far. Giannis just has to allow them to have their moments when he's on the court too.
Correct. That all has to come together in perfect harmony. Charlie using over there, see Sparky Fifer here. Coming up next, things Sparky missed. got a piece of audio sent to me from Tommy Wirtz with involving Robert Murray concerning the Brandon Woodruff deal, accepting the qualifying offer, 1 year at $22.5 million, and what this might mean for Freddie Peralta's future in Milwaukee. We'll let you hear all about that coming up next. And another interesting piece on Rich Bisaccia's special teams units for the Green Bay Packers. Stay tuned for all of that. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky here, Charlie using over there, other side of the glass. Don't forget, Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with Tommy Words comes up from 5 until 6 today. Definitely want to stay tuned for that one. Tells you, plays back some of the best of what we had on today on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. And things that we missed on today's show, let's discuss.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
All right, let's get to the things that we missed. This happened while we were on the air. Robert Murray, MLB insider, joined the folks on MLB Network to talk about the Brandon Woodruff deal and potentially what it means for Freddie Peralta and the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, this one was up in the air. And Woodruff, there's layers to this. And Woodruff now, he's a player of the Brewers they drafted. They watched him go through their entire farm system. He's a player that in the clubhouse, on the field, there's not a player who's more respected in that clubhouse than Brandon Woodruff. And they made it clear that they wanted him back. They felt he was well worth the qualifying offer, which he's now going to be signed for. And this is a big win for the Brewers. But he's now signed for $22 million. You have Freddie Peralta signed for $8 million. That's $30 million for a small market team investing into two players. To me, I wonder if this increases the chances of a Peralta trade. It's something that I'm watching, something that other teams are watching, and I think this is going to be a conversation now that heats up and maybe dominates the offseason market.
No chance. You're just hoping and wishing upon a prayer. I like Robert Murray, but you're crazy. There's just no chance. You don't give Woodruff $22.5 million and then go, yeah, we changed our mind. We're not all in. Let's trade away the other great pitcher in the rotation and not go for it. You give Brandon Woodruff that deal, and the idea is this. If he takes it, we're in. We're not moving Peralta. He says no, we'll listen on Peralta because we don't know if we have enough behind Peralta in the starting rotation from a veteran perspective. Like literally, we had two topics today on Brandon Woodruff. If Brandon Woodruff signed, which he did, our topic was going to be, does your opinion of Mark Attanasio change? Which we did with Tommy Wirtz, who hosted the leadoff show all year before Brewers games for us. And we talked about it with him. If he didn't sign, the topic was going to be, how important is it to replace Woodruff with another frontline veteran starting pitcher? It was going to be uber important to probably find that guy, and you weren't going to find that guy cheap if you were going to try and still compete. So from that perspective, if I'm Matt Arnold and if I'm Mark Attanasio, now the conversation is, okay, look, we're investing $30 million in two guys. And I agree with Robert Murray that, yes, that's a lot of money to invest in two players at the front of a rotation in a small market team. So it'd be like having two guys at $15 million, let's just say, if you're just breaking it up. I get that. But now this has to be Mark's moment of, okay, guys, I'm going to give you $20 million more this year than last year, or I'm going to give you $30 million more than we had last year. Yeah, I'm going to take a bath. Yeah, I'm going to lose money probably at the end of the year on this thing. But I think we got a legitimate chance to maybe go win a World Series. You need money for a bat? Here it is. Go get a bat and let's go win this damn thing. Here is your opportunity, Mark, to push in, because I think you agree with me. If Woodruff goes out and pitches the way Woodruff does and stays healthy, he's gone, right? And you're going to get a comp pick. And if Freddie Peralta pitches the way he's supposed to pitch, you're going to get a comp pick on him too, and he's gone. This is legitimately your best chance right now with another year of experience with Mizorowski. You saw what you got this year out of Priester, better than anybody thought. Henderson's a stud. Gasser might be really good as well. You could still get Quintana back probably for the same number you got him at last year, at $5 million, if you want another vet in that rotation. I just think now is your chance, Mark, to push in, shut the fan base up, and try and go win this thing.
Do you really believe yourself in what you're saying right now?
I think he has the wherewithal to do this for a year. I don't think he has the wherewithal to do it for 5 years, 5 consecutive years, but I think for a year, yes. And if my conspiracy theory is right, which is all these small market teams now are going to push in to use this against the players union at the end of next season and go, oh, see, we spent money. Look, Pittsburgh signed Kyle Schwarber. Oh, look, Cincinnati signed this guy. If that conspiracy theory is right, Not this is my Sparky conspiracy theory. If I'm right, that should mean that includes Milwaukee pushing in even more than they have in the past for 1 year. So you can go get a 1-year deal at a big number, not tied to a guy for long term, and get a bat.
I think for that to happen, for, I guess, the Brewers to want to do that, I think the Pirates and the Rockies have to sign a Kyle Tucker or have to sign a Kyle Schwarber.
Kyle Tucker in Colorado. Oh, my God.
I mean, like, Kyle Schwarber in Colorado. Are you kidding me? That's 100 home runs a season. That's awesome.
Yes.
But at the same time, do you really think Kyle Schwarber is going to go there? I think he probably ends up back in Philadelphia with one of the other big market teams that he ends up in, that they are all predicting him to end up in.
Listen, this is the thing. Kyle Schwarber is an older player, right? So Kyle Schwarber's got to figure out, okay, do I want 3, 4, 5 years and less money, or do I want to take a mega deal for 1 year in Colorado, put up gigantic numbers, gamble that I won't get hurt, and go get a really big contract after I put up, a Hall of Fame worthy season in Colorado? That's the decision he's going to have to make. Tucker isn't in that same boat because he's young. So Tucker is going to go somewhere on a long-term deal. I can't imagine Kyle Tucker signing a 1-year deal at this point.
No, but also I think from Kyle Schwarber's perspective, he does sign 1-year massive deal and goes out there and balls out, and it's phenomenal. And then the league shuts down and they change all the rules about how players get paid. He's not getting paid a massive contract. If he signs,
but if it's 1 year, if it's 1 year at $30 million,
but if he signs a 4-year at $100 million. And then that transfers over past this new rule that they're going to put in with the salary cap and all of that. I'd rather have that security than 1 year and then say, oh, well, now you're screwed because now you have to go sign a regular contract like everybody else.
Right. And that's the debate that Schwarber's got to have. Him and his agent have got to sit down and figure out, okay, what do we want? I agree with you. There's no way if I'm trying to win a ring, I'm going to go sign there and try and get this done. But dude's got a ring. So it ain't like he's chasing rings. He's got rings. He's won the World Series. So I don't think he's ring chasing. I think he's money chasing still at this point. And if he's talking about, hey, I want to be a Hall of Famer and so forth, Colorado gives you a good chance to push yourself over the top with 3 or 4 seasons in Colorado, if we're being honest.
It does. But also there's a lot of guys that I just got into the Hall of Fame that the Colorado case kind of pushed them away from the Hall of Fame for a little bit.
Yeah, that could be true if you have a majority of your career there versus the end of your career. So, so there you go. We'll see what happens. But as I said earlier in the show, and I'm not changing my mind. If they trade Freddie Peralta, and I don't give a crap what it's for, I'm going to be livid right now because this is about as all in as you're going to get. Now finish the job. Go get yourself a big stick for the middle of this lineup. Trade whatever prospects you got to trade. Sorry, Tommy. And try to win this damn thing. Like, just go for it, man. Nobody is going to be mad. Tommy might. But nobody besides Tommy, if you traded a Made or a Pena or something, is going to be mad at you if you go all in to try and go find that gigantic bat to rent.
Nobody's going to be mad, but I also just find that highly unlikely from what we've seen from this ownership, from this front office.
I'm telling you.
2018 felt really good. Last year felt really good. And then it didn't, and they didn't do anything either of those years.
All right, we have a couple minutes left here, and Think Sparky Miss brought to you by the Milwaukee Admirals. We're going to change gears to go something depressing because I'm really excited about the Brewers and the Brandon Woodruff deal. Di Carragher put up a great story at 24/7 Sports. Highly encourage you going to read it. Talking about the Packers special teams unit. First, let me start with the one tweet that he had before I get into his article. Most unbelievable stat I've unearthed all year. 45 NFL players, Charlie, have returned 3 or more punts this season. 45.
Mm-hmm.
In yards per attempt, ranked 43rd is Romeo Doubs at 5.8 yards. 44th, Matthew Golden at 4.7. Dead last at 45, Keyshawn Nixon at 1 yard.
Woo!
He's averaging 1 yard.
That's fun. That's awesome. I was just looking up Jonathan Taylor's average yards per carry. He's averaging 6 yards per carry as a running back on the ground.
Well, good for you. This is a punt returns, though.
Yeah, you should be averaging more than 6 yards per carry on a punt return.
On a punt return.
In my opinion. Yes.
Yeah,
and you have 3 guys not doing that.
I think that's completely fair at this point. No question. Okay, so some of the other things. Right now, Pro Football Focus combines separate grades on kickoffs, punts, returns, field goals, and more to make one overarching special teams grade for each team. Right now, the Packers rank 6th worst in the NFL with an overall grade of 68.2. That's not great. The Packers special teams unit has committed 19 penalties in 10 games, which is tied for the 4th most in the league. 4th most in the league. The other element to this, which I believe is important, is that the Packers' opponents have been penalized on special teams more than any other team. 22 penalties on the opposition. That's why it feels like anytime you watch a Packers kickoff, punt, or field goal, there ends up being yellow laundry on the field. It's just not always against the Green Bay Packers. Missed special teams tackles as well. The Packers have been transformed into an excellent tackling unit on defense ever since Jeff Hafley arrived. And that form seems to have partially translated over to special teams, where the Packers rank right around league average in missed tackle rate. So that's good.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, compared to the other stuff we've been hearing.
Yeah, that.
We'll take that, I guess.
That's pretty good. But I'm telling you, as you go through this, it's amazing. The Packers, of course, both arguably the best punter in the league. Pro Football Focus certainly thinks so. Dan Whelan, 89.6 punting grade is the highest in the NFL.
That's pretty impressive. Dan Whelan looks that part. When I was there on Monday Night Football against the Eagles, he had some great punts that night. It was a lot of fun to watch him.
He is so good. He got a game ball this last week for flipping the field
also,
and all of that.
At the same time, if a punter gets a game ball usually from your team, that's not the greatest sign for the rest of the team.
You won, though.
Yep, you won.
You won. That's all that matters. Right. And the Vikings are next, and you take care of business and get ready for a showdown with the Lions on Thanksgiving, and everything will be right in the world. That'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sports Book. Coming up next, it'll be Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with our guy, Tommy Wirtz. Gets you ready with the best of the stuff from earlier today. Plus, he'll give his spin on the different things that were talked about today as well. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good one. Toodles!